Greetings, New Hammer, Middle Hammer, and Old Hammer folks alike. I am OldGrumpyWolf, aka Lennon Midnight, and welcome to the Minibar Podcast. I'll be serving up lots of awesome painting nerdiness, talking to other painters from around the web. But before we get started, I just wanted to give a big shout out and plug to thebaslayer.com. Thebaslayer.com is I'm trying to pull up the interactive window. There we go. Thebaslayer.com is a new social media based miniature site. As you can see, your feed is filled with nothing but miniatures that people have painted and posted. You can like, you can comment, you can follow people. There's no advertisements. There's no silly things of other people's kids or cats or dogs or chickens or whatever else people post now on the internet. But yeah, go check out thebaslayer.com, sign up, and post your miniatures. And now back to the actual show. Okay, tonight at the bar we have the Crown of Command. He's a really well-known painter around the web for doing Oldhammer stuff, and he's got his own channel on YouTube called the Crown of Command. Definitely go check it out. But yeah, we have the Crown of Command. Thank you for coming on.
Len, it's been a great honour for you to ask me on, mate. I'm really happy to be here to talk to you, mate, after our last discussion on my YouTube channel doing the Splatter Natter. So It's good to come back and talk to you, mate, on your show.
And just so you guys know, the Crown of Command, I'm calling Josh, him and our friends. Josh has he does this thing called the Splatter Natter, where he has other painters and friends from around the web, like on kind of a live podcast where everybody paints and just talks about painting and whatnot or whatever they're working on. And it's actually quite fun to watch. And you do battle reports too, don't you?
Yeah, mainly battle reports is kind of like the main sort of focus and main kind of content. But I also do these now, thank Gork, it's Fridays. So every Friday it's kind of like a studio update because I do a lot of commissions and stuff I'm doing for myself, working towards battle reports. So I kind of let people in on the studio and let them see what I'm working on. So that's kind of another
series very cool.
of videos I do on a consistent basis.
I like that, thank Gorb, it's Friday.
Yeah, thank Gork, it's Friday. Yeah.
Pardon my ignorance. What is Gorb orc-based?
Gork, so G-O-R-K.
Gork. I thought you said Gorb. Saying Gork.
Yeah, like Gork. Yeah.
And so, what would you call hate Mork? It's Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, damn it, Mork! It's Monday. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, damn it, Mork! It's Monday. Yeah, but it's probably not a bad one actually to do that. It's like a follow up, what I've painted on the weekend or something like that maybe. Or Mork's modeling workshop or something like. I always try to tie in the orc theme because that's on my Patreon. It's all about the orcs and all the tiers are all sort of 40k orc and named inspired kind of stuff. So and that kind of thing. So it's all sort of. And I'm a big orc fan. I love space orcs. I love night goblins and orc and goblins in fantasy. They're kind of my main armies that I like to play.
Oh, okay.
So,
and just for people watching, whereabouts in the world are you?
I'm in Japan. I've been here for now almost 13 years, and hopefully, once I get a letter from the immigration department very soon, I'll be able to stay for another 3 or 4 years. Oh, okay. Sort of hanging on that at the moment. But yeah, 12 or 13 years now, mate. Been in Japan.
Okay. And just, I mean, long and the short, like, how did you wind up there? Because you're the first guest I've had on that's actually in Japan. So, and that is not a common place for most guests to be. Yeah, not a common place for most gamers, I'd say. So it's kind of amazing that this has all worked out. Considering where I am, it's kind of a gaming drought. You're really going to find, or be very lucky to find other gamers or other people like-minded in what you're doing. Yeah. So yeah, I came here because I met my wife and she's Japanese and we had to come to a decision where we're going to live long term. It was either going to be in Australia, where I'm originally from, or Japan. And I thought I really wanted an adventure. So I thought I've been to Japan a few times before that, really fell in love with the place and had my heart set on it, which broke my wife's heart because she's a surfer. So I come from the Gold Coast in Australia. So, that would have been just like heaven for her. But we settled in Japan and that was it, mate. So I've always been curious. How long is the flight from Japan to Australia?
9 hours direct.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's longer than I thought it was. Because I know, I know a lot of the people in the Australian car scene, like in the Japanese cars, they import a lot of stuff from Japan, and it's fairly cheap for them to get it because it's not too far away. Whereas like shipping anything from Australia to the US or US to Australia is just like sky high in cost as far as shipping costs go. And I mean, for me to ship a USPS priority mailer, which I use here in the States for all my small stuff, it's like $9.25 here in the States. For me to ship that to Australia I think it's up to $50 now. So
oh wow,
yeah, I wasn't quite sure what the travel time was. I think that's about the travel time from like Los Angeles to, I don't know, like New York or something like that. Maybe 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's dive into the show. I know you mentioned that you wanted to paint a little bit. Before we start, for you guys watching, I mentioned it when we started, but like the spider netter thing Josh does, it's a lot of fun to watch. He brings on a lot of cool guests. So that's definitely something worth checking out. He has a couple guests that I brought on. 80 Wood goes on there quite often. But it's mostly, for you Oldhammer folks, it's really geared toward Oldhammer stuff, and I think you guys would really like it. So when he's doing it, when he goes live with it, go check him out. But let's dive into the show. And like for me, you're a little bit older than I am, but we came up at about the same time. I'm honestly curious, what got you into like Warhammer and miniature painting?
Great question. I guess as a kid, growing up, I discovered Tamiya model kits, and I had a catalog, and I was really impressed with the amount of realism in the painting and dioramas these guys were making in Japan. All these World War II type scenes, and cars and bikes and you name it. And actually, for nostalgia purposes, I actually found an online like a catalog. Where someone had actually scanned all those old catalogs from the 1970s and 80s, and you can find those online, which has been wonderful. So I've been trying to look for the one I had when I was a kid, but I just couldn't find it. Still can't find it, but I found very similar kind of things on there. And maybe the catalog I had was just unique to Australia or for the department store where I bought it or got it from. I think they were free back in the day. So that was kind of like the very earliest memory I have of buying and seeing model kits and being interested in painting and replicating the amazing imagery and stuff I saw in those catalogs. And I think, going back, it's quite a long time ago now, but I thought I would have bought Tamiya paints and Humbrol paints and, Tamiya spray paints and all that kind of stuff. And try to work my way around how to paint these things. It was really as you know, and anybody who gets into this hobby, it's a really challenging first step.
Yeah.
I didn't know about priming miniatures. I had no idea about all the prep work, and I don't know if they had instructions in the magazines back then about that kind of stuff. I can't remember. They probably did. They probably have they had probably like a step-by-step basis of how to clean, clip out the parts. Scrape off all the mold lines and prime it and all that kind of stuff, I think. But I used to love doing that all the way through into high school. Buy those Tamiya kits and put them together and paint them. And I think it was towards the end of, and I was always interested in board games and card games and that kind of thing. And I think it was probably near the end of my high school, near graduation or whatever, that these television commercials came on about HeroQuest. And
I remember those.
And of course, I'd watched fantasy shows like I think Willow, or all those kind of the fantasy genre was obviously quite popular in Hollywood, and you got to see different kinds of shows or animations or what have you. So I had a sense of what an orc or an elf and that kind of thing was, and I read The Hobbit, which I also really enjoyed. And so when I read, and reading The Hobbit, I could see the correlations, I can see the kind of themes and characters, and it became very familiar to me. And I thought, wow, I love board games, so I thought, wow, I'd really like to get that. So that's kind of where it all started. And then when I bought that, thanks to my mum, I think she bought me that plus the expansions for Christmas or whatever. On the side of the box, because I loved all the miniatures and everything, on the side of the box I had all those painted samples that Mike did. for the studio, and I didn't realize they were metal prototypes, and I was just blown away because I'd seen what the guys for Tamiya, and my standard paint was just basically like a very flat color, with all those kind of Tamiya kit, no blending, no shading. It was just paint something black. You just painted it black, and that was it. But this is kind of totally different. This is like making something three-dimensional. There was shading, obviously shading and blending and all this kind of stuff. And I became very, very interested from that moment. And in the boxes, when you got Hero Quest and Space Crusade, they gave you a return, like a paid return envelope. And if you sent it away to the UK, they would return it with a painting guide and a catalog.
Oh.
And I still remember to this day, my dad getting really angry about it because it cost him $10, which back in those days, I think it was like 1989. That's a lot of money,
Yeah, that'd be about $25 now, 22-ish.
Something like that. It was quite a lot of money then, and he was like, he was kind of, a bit upset about it. But I'm glad he did it because when I got those, the catalog and was awesome because the first thing I saw was Warhammer Fantasy Battle. That was 3rd edition. And all these miniatures ranked up into units and stuff like that. So that immediately caught my attention. And then it had Rogue Trader 40K, Space Hulk 1st edition, Space Marine 1st edition, Adeptus Titanicus, and a few other different boards like Talisman, all that kind of stuff. So it gave me this wide scope of range of different things, and I think they had their paints in there as well, the Citadel paints and stuff like that. So I immediately got in contact with what Games Workshop was and what products they sold and all that kind of thing. And the painting guide gave me the great opportunity to know how to prep a model, how to paint it properly, the base coats from shading to, like doing things like dry brushing and using inks, which I've never heard of before. And I've discovered the way I sort of discovered all this product was in a small comic store in the arcade of Southport in Queensland, where I sort of grew up in. And they stocked Games Workshop stuff, and I never forget it. They had this stand full of Marauder miniatures. And I bought my first metal models from that stand, and I bought my paints, and it just opened up this whole new world of possibilities then at that stage. And so that was kind of like where I sort of started my love and fascination for miniature painting and wanting to learn more and more about it, and wanting to, of course, if I get just a tenth of what Mike could do in terms of like finishing miniatures like that. But of course, my early attempts were terrible. They were shocking, and I was so disappointed with them that I tried to strip them, of course, in methylated spirits, and then melted all the plastic from the miniatures. So the heroes never survived.
Like, oops.
Their first paint strip, unfortunately. But it was a good adventure.
I didn't learn about using alcohol until I got back into it recently. Like I never thought of using alcohol to strip miniatures. I always thought it might be too corrosive or astringent. And so I had tons of like all my old sneaky beakies floating around that I painted like crap when I was a kid. And discovering using alcohol, it was just be like, oh, I can strip all my old plastic, sweet. Because I was using I use Berryman B12 carb cleaner to strip my metals. And that stuff just instantaneously pulls paint off. It's great. So, but for the longest time, I was like, okay, I know I can strip my metals, not a problem. But I've got all these plastic arms that got paint on them. I've got all these old, early edition plastic models. How do I strip these? And learning about alcohol now, I did the carb cleaner thing once on a plastic miniature and wound up with the same results that you did. It just turned into goop. I was like, oh well, I'm not using that for that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, can't word. It sounds pretty much like I already know the answer to the next question I wanted to ask. But did you get into the gaming? Or did you get into the hobby because of gaming or painting?
Definitely for the gaming, because of course I love the painting. That was one big aspect to it. But the gaming itself, because we played through HeroQuest all of the base game and the supplements as well. during the school holidays, and that was kind of the highlight of gaming for me. And I got another game called Ultramarines, which was basically Games Workshop's kind of
no miniatures in that
smaller
thing.
sets of. They had the Scouts, Space Marine Scouts.
That was it, wasn't it?
You got 20 Scouts, so it was 5. It's split up into the 4 different chapters. Here's Space Wolves, Ultramarines, Blood Angels, and Dark Angels. And they would be pitted against each other in this Space Hulk.
Okay. So you fought one another.
Layout, and you fought one another. It was kind of like, it was almost like if you thought about like a Space Marine trial or some kind of training exercise for the Scouts. They had to pick up these energy cubes located in the Hulk and bring it back into their base.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
the person with the most would win.
I remember seeing that. I just didn't know what the last time I saw it was I was probably like 12 or 13 years old. So I don't remember the premise of the game. I'm sure I could have looked it up, but I completely spaced that up until now.
Yeah, it was a good little game actually, and I was the only one I tried out of that series. There was about 4 of them I think they released at that time. But I was in a situation where I would just buy whatever was on the shelf at the comic store. It was that kind of situation. Maybe you had the same thing, Lennon. Like whatever you could find, you would buy. And because in America, you probably had the same situation. It was just like whoever stocked it and whatever stuff they could get, you'd get your hands on.
Hobbytown here, back when they were still around, they carried a fairly large amount of Games Workshop stuff. And in Vegas, we never actually had a Games Workshop store. So we only had people who carried their products and whatnot. And as time went on, as Games Workshop got bigger, there were some more store in the 2000s, mid to late 2000s. The shop I went to was called Dark Tower, and they were predominantly a Games Workshop store. They carried comics and all that stuff, but they had one entire half of the shop that was just nothing but GW stuff. But back in the 90s, happening upon a store that carried a wider selection, on a regular basis was kind of rare. And I don't know what it was like if you lived in larger cities like Los Angeles or Chicago or New York or something like that, where it was major city, if it was any different. But in smaller cities like Las Vegas, it was kind of like finding a shop. One shop would have a bigger selection of this or a bigger selection of that, or this one would have older stuff because they bought a bunch of old stock and they never sold it. Yeah, I remember there was one shop out in Northtown here in Vegas. My dad took me to one day, and they were loaded with. This must have been. God, what was I like 6th or 7th grade? Right out a year or two after I got into it, they were loaded with Rogue Trader era stuff, and they had what I wound up getting that day from that shop was, you remember the old giant plastic blister packs, but it was like a slide panel on the back. Did you ever see those?
Oh yeah.
I bought a thing. I got a thing of those with I think it was 7 or 10 of the old metal sneaky beakies from early Rogue Trader, and but they had a whole load of old school stuff, and I wish I could just go back in time and go back to that shop and just okay, here's $200. I'll take it all.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Now it's $200 gets you 3 figures.
Yeah, I think we took it for granted back in those days, or I certainly did, where I just thought it would never end. This awesomeness of
it wasn't until recently. I want to say it was during my absence from 12 until 24 that prices for Oldhammer stuff skyrocketed, because I remember buying Oldhammer stuff in the early 2000s, even the mid to late 2000s, and nobody wanted it. I bought a box of RTB-15 Mark 7s, the Space Marine Strike Force. My first box I bought in 2002. It was brand new in box. I got it off eBay for $25 shipped. Yeah. And there was I bought a couple more RTB-15 Marines. I bought some guy was selling, I think it was 2 Saturnine Terminators, brand new in blister. I got it for $5.50. It was the auction was 50 cents and the shipping was $5.
Yeah.
And looking at the prices
mate,
now,
good old days.
It's ridiculous. But it's the same thing with the in the classic gaming scene. It was really only within the last decade where prices really started skyrocketing in a lot of old games. This will be out. I can talk about this. Will be out long after Christmas. So my gal's daughter for Christmas every year, I always buy her. She really, really loves Kirby, and so I buy her. Last Christmas, I bought her a copy of Kirby's Adventure on the Nintendo, on the NES, and then I bought her a copy of Kirby's Adventure on the Super Famicom. And the cool thing about the Super Famicom game was the cartridge was pink.
Ah, cool. Okay, nice.
So this year I'm buying her Kirby's Dream Land for the Game Boy, the first one that came out, and I just bought the Japanese copy off eBay. I got it for like $35 shipped, and
awesome.
US copies of it are going for like $150. I'm like, this game was mass produced. This game was everywhere, and a complete in box copy is $150. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And go back 10 years ago, and you could have got it for $20.
Yeah, you could probably find one here in Japan because they do stock a lot of the old stuff still.
Well, like I said, I already got the Japanese copy, so
yeah, they're still for next to nothing. It's not worth anything here.
Oh, that's what I normally do. Like I've been using Yahoo Auctions Japan for over a decade now, and I just wasn't sure if I would get smacked with tariff fees,
right?
Because I haven't purchased anything since all that. I haven't got anything out of Japan since all that went into play. When I bought her the NES or the Famicom copy of Kirby's last year, that was before the changeover happened. So I don't know if I get a. I think shipping is usually about, for a small package with EMS, it's like $60.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm still gonna have to pay I don't mind paying $60 and then spending $20 in the game. But if I get smacked with like another $20 or $30 for the tariffs, it's like, no, that's not worth it anymore.
Yeah, it's coming in effect today, mate. From today, the tariffs.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
I think Japan, it started before that. I just saw a guy on Facebook who bought a set of cams out of Japan for his S13, and he got smacked with like $475.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Oh, and I'm waiting for 80 to get back to me. 80 had to actually. He's got to pay. I think he's actually got to pay customs on this box of stuff I sent him.
Yeah, I think most countries do it. I think the US has been a nice sanctuary especially for what I do too. I send a lot of commissions to the States, which is obviously going to change now because of the tariff situation.
Yeah.
We're just going to see how it plays out because, I know it as of today, the 29th of August, it was going to come into effect. And then now, like, for example, Japan Post won't be sending any parcels. I can't send anything to the United States until they know exactly what the situation is going to be.
Oh, wow.
Because it's all kind of up in the air. Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a mess at the moment.
Oh, that sucks.
A bit stressful. But I've been trying to communicate with my customers in the States to tell them what's happening, and so they know what's going on. And then who knows? We might have a few customers coming to Japan to pick up their orders.
Yeah.
It might work out better. Do the family trip and pick up your order and go back again.
I'm curious what your commission load is like from actual Japanese customers.
Well, that's zero.
Oh, really?
To be honest, yeah, because the only sort of orders I get from within Japan are from expats. So, and I've had one gentleman, I think his name is Jun, and he's a Japanese, but he's American Japanese. So he must have, I think he was born in America. Mm-hmm. And came back to Japan and lives and works here now.
Oh, okay.
But he speaks just native American, mate. So but he's a really nice guy. So I did a commission for him. So he's really the only Japanese person I've actually really painted for so far. I think the Japanese have kind of maybe it's a little bit different here in Japan, and I think the Japanese hobbyists have a different way of approaching that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think commission painting is really big here anyway. From my experience and from what I know about it, I think the Japanese people and hobbyists tend to like to do the painting and hobbying themselves.
Yeah.
I don't think it's I think maybe the European, American, Australian kind of market, it's kind of like, well, that's kind of a different approach or a different way of thinking about it. Mm-hmm. But so far I've had no Japanese clients as such. Maybe that will change. I don't know. It maybe just takes one, and then the ball starts rolling. I don't know, and we'll see how it goes. I'd like to do it, but I think if it's going to be that, it's going to be like modern 40K, modern Warhammer Fantasy models, which is really not what I do.
Yeah.
Again, as well, you know what I mean? So.
Well, I do know culturally, like the Japanese, when they get into something, from just like what I've listened to and what I've read, like when the Japanese get into something, they take up a hobby or something like that, or take up an interest, they really dedicate themselves 100% to it, which I can understand. It's a different mindset in the more Western areas of the world. I remember reading in a couple of car magazines that, it talked about like guys out at events, like drift events or even car shows, just going out with their cameras and, going out with like the latest, like $1,000 lens or something like that, and they said like, it's very common in the Japanese culture when people get into something, they just really get into it and that's their thing.
Yeah.
And I've also seen it in like the work culture over there, the dedication to, serving the customer and making sure everything's perfect and, giving the highest quality you can give, even if it's a 7-Eleven, it's very different than, like the US and England and even Australia. So, one question I talked to you in Splatternetter about this. One question I'm curious about, and I wanted to ask because you're in such a different culture than the rest of the world. What is the Warhammer scene like in Japan?
Great question, because I get often asked about this, and I think there is obviously there are small pockets of players who are Japanese who are, because Warhammer's not new to Japan. It's been around since the 90s, and when they had stores opened here, and I know you can open up games like White Dwarf magazines, Australian copies, where they're asking, staff wanted in Asia, like Japan stores, can you speak Japanese? Then you could, manage or work in retail in Japan. So it's been there for a long time, but I think they closed down after a certain amount of time, and then they reopened with Warhammer stores here. And they've got a Warhammer cafe in Akihabara, which is kind of like the electronic town here in Japan, in central Tokyo, which I visited, I think, last year. So that was interesting. So I haven't been to a modern Games Workshop store in a long time.
So at the cafe, are the waitresses dressed up like Sisters of Battle? And
no, it's nothing like that. It's very disappointing. I thought I was very disappointed with it, and even my wife was not all that chuffed with it because there was no service. There was no one actually at the bar, and then it took ages to get a drink. And when we did get it, it was kind of expensive, and nothing really to write home about.
Okay.
It's really just a big shop with Games Workshop product in it, and you can buy, the big Titans from Forge World. You can buy, all kinds of stuff there. And there's a lot of miniatures on display that have been painted by Japanese painters, which is really nice. I thought that was probably one of the best things about it, actually, seeing a whole host of cabinets full of miniatures painted with the little name tags and plaques and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Of hobbyists, which I think is a really good idea. Yeah. I think that's great, to show off their work and everything. So there are a lot of painters here, and I know if you follow Twitter or X, there's a lot of Japanese hobbyists post up in there, and they post a lot of stuff about their painting and things like that. And there are small pockets of gamers as well, because there's a massive 40K Warhammer 40K scene here in Japan, mostly expats, but there are a lot of Japanese players too. But from my sense of it, I think that Japanese players tend to play not in big groups, but they tend to pair off with friends, and they organize games at their house or at the local GW store or a independent store or whatever. And there's a mate of mine, David, who's set up Warstorm games over in Shizuoka, and there's a Japanese guy. I think he must have lived or stayed in America for quite some time, because he's got a very fluent level of English. But he did a video, and I'll share the link with you too, mate. But he went over there and he interviewed a whole host of people who are gaming there in Japan. It was really interesting insight because you got to hear about, their stories, their background, why they're playing it, and all that kind of thing. They seem very competitive. The Japanese players very competitive. It's all about who wins the most and all that, but in a very fun kind of laid back kind of style.
Yeah.
But like you said, once a Japanese hobbyist or a person focuses and centers their attention on something, they try to do it to the full extent of it. And that goes from modeling to painting to playing, so they have a strong dedication to it. So there are players out there. I know Nagoya also has a big scene in Warhammer 40k, both with expats and Japanese players. So it's really depending on where you live. And if you live in the big cities, you're probably going to find a lot more players, and more stores. And if you live where I live, in a much more regional area, you're going to have virtually nothing. Yeah. So it's, yeah.
I think kind of the same goes, for like here in the States. Unfortunately, in Vegas, like, again, as I said, getting back into this, I'm really surprised at like how much it's grown and like how many larger hobby stores now that are kind of really dedicated to wargaming and 40 or Warhammer and 40K and whatnot. Excuse me. Like the shop that I go to, like there's 3 sections of the shop. There's the front of the shop where like the checkout counter is, dice, new releases. There's the one third of the shop. The second third of the shop is just all the product they carry. The whole back wall is Warhammer stuff. Like there's 2 aisles of paints, and then the other third, the final third of the shop is just all wargaming space, and they have like tons and tons of tables in there. And they've actually got like, they're one of the few shops in Vegas that actually has like a dedicated setup painting and modeling area.
Right.
And then there's another shop up the street from them. It's they're dedicated specifically 2/3 to Warhammer 40K Games Workshop, and I haven't really ventured outside of my side of town. There's one other shop I go to called Little Shop, and the only reason I go there is they carry a wide range of Vallejo paints. So I run it, if I'm looking for a specific color from them, and it's easy to find there. But back in the 90s and 2000s, like it was fairly small. Hobbytown, I think we had like 4 or 5 hobby towns in Vegas. They carried their stuff, but there was a place I used to go to when I was a kid called Asgard, and they had the front of their shop was all their product, and then the back they had a warehouse that was all just gaming, and that was probably one of the bigger game stores in Vegas. But I can't even imagine what it'd be like in like small little rural areas that. Oh, what I was going to say, I'm sorry. The actual Warhammer store we have here is really small.
Oh, right.
I was really surprised. Like I thought it was going to be this huge store, but it's a small little store. I think he has. You can split them in half, but basically like 4 gaming tables pushed together, so 2 large gaming tables and then 1 smaller table, a small hobby station, and then just the whole outside of the unit is just all the product. And I was really surprised the first time I went in there. I was like, for Warhammer, this is tiny. But I think if you live in a more rural area, kind of like you are, it may be more difficult to find, a Warhammer store or a gaming store that accommodates fully. But I'm curious, is there a store in Tokyo?
For like a Warhammer store?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is at least 2.
Oh, wow.
There might be 3. So, and of course they have their sort of warehouse depot there as well, like a headquarters in Japan.
Yeah, that's right. It's right next to the airport, or it's in between 2 airports.
So you can order stuff from made to order, and it will get sent directly to Japan to your address, kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So they do have a strong presence. I think they must have at least 3 or 4 stores in Japan. Like they must have one in Osaka, and a few in maybe one in Nagoya, and a few in Tokyo. And I think that's the extent of it. But so like I said, like
nothing really
going to
northern.
that Warhammer Cafe was not that I know of.
Okay.
I don't think so. Yeah, not that I know of. But they might have one in Sendai. I don't know. I'll have to check. I'll have to go and check out the Warhammer map and see where all the store locator is and that kind of thing. But yeah, they are here, and there are gamers here. There've been gamers here for a very long time. I had a student I was teaching in one of the courses I was doing, and he said, during his university days. Now he's probably a bit older than me because I'm 51, so he might be like 55 or 56 or something like that. So when he went to university, he would take the AD&D manuals and stuff, and he would translate them into into Japanese. Sorry,
that's
cool. He would run D&D sessions, and he would buy the miniatures and everything like that as well. So, it's had quite a long, extensive history in Japan. But again, it's kind of in very, very small groups that were, sort of interested in this kind of thing. Not to the mass popularity that England saw or the US saw, or other countries like that. You know what I mean? So,
there's one thing I'd love to do whenever I get over to Japan is it's silly, but I grew up playing a video game called Tokyo Extreme Racer, and it's all Wangen racing, and I've always wanted to like drive around the Wangen, going from like the C1 Inner like out to Nagoya, all the way down to like it's the southernmost area of the Wangen in Tokyo. It's right by there's this exit ramp. There's a parking lot, and like on Fridays and Saturday nights, it's very common for like cars to go there, like modified cars show up and have everybody just hangs out and stuff like that. And I don't know what the illegal freeway racing scene's like in Japan anymore, but back in the 90s and the 2000s, even like the early 10s, you go hang out in the parking lot and you can actually hear people Wangen racing on the freeway.
Oh, right.
But
okay.
They just released a new version of Tokyo Extreme Racer, like a modernized version, and I fell in love with it. I beat it in like 3 days, but because memory limitations, you don't really have to worry about like the size of the DVD anymore or anything like that. So the size of the freeway in the game is the actual size of the freeway in Japan. Literally, if you go from like the C1 inner outer all the way down to that southernmost area by the car park, it takes about 15-20 minutes to drive from C1 all the way down to that corner, which is about how long it takes in real life.
Wow.
Yeah. But just to kind of go back into or keep the show on track, because we always go off course.
Yeah, you're right. That's okay.
So for everybody watching, and I already know because I asked you when I was in Splatter Natter, but what kind of paints do you use?
Primarily Vallejo, mate. But
okay.
Because I've been a Vallejo man since I first discovered them back in 2006, I think it was. And just been a fan ever since. But I also use TT Combat's paints because they very kindly sent me some samples, and they've been very good as well. I've been really enjoying those paints, and I tend to use them pretty extensively now. And I did dabble with the Watercolors paints when they had the Nostalgia 94 range and the Nostalgia 88 range, and had some successes with them and had some failures with them as well.
Are they close to the original formula from Citadel?
Yeah, so they're super vibrant. In that sense, they're excellent. Can't fault them for one thing. I think it's just the coverage that they've got the same kind of, well, not even the same. I think in some cases they're just sort of lacking that opaqueness that the older paints I think still had. But things like snakebite leather, it's a really it's a color that I just don't think anybody else has been able to replicate. So having something like that is really nice.
I found an AK color that's similar, and I'm cool with that.
Oh, cool. Okay, if there's an equivalent out there, that's great. So
it's like slightly really darker. Nice it's not quite as like yellowish, but it gets the job done.
Yeah. I think if for that range you can sort of grab a few things which are really, really nice, that are really hard to get anywhere else. Yeah. But they did. I don't know what they're like now because I've had the first sort of wave of paints from there. Maybe they've changed a little bit now.
Oh, they expanded. Gobo Girl and I were talking about it. She uses 88 and 99 or 94, and they expanded the hell out of the 94 range.
Oh, that's good. I need to go and check out because I know they've just celebrated 10 years at Watercolor. So I need to actually buy a few things. I really like their glazes. Their glaze set is brilliant. So and sadly they don't do the inks for 88 anymore. I think they're the best inks I've ever used.
Well, I think they shut down the 88 range.
Oh, completely. Yeah, they've stopped doing all of that, which is a real shame. But I was lucky to grab a set before they went out of production.
Yeah.
But I'm going to check out their other ink range because they it may be the same thing just with a different label.
Mm-hmm.
So
I really wanted I wanted their bilious green and their marine dark blue and their old Space Wolf gray specifically from the 88 range.
Yeah. I'm sure it will come back, but it'll come back in a dropper bottle. I'm sure they'll do it again because I know a lot of people would be after those paints. So I don't see why they wouldn't produce them.
Well, yeah,
They're Citadel produce them in a different bottle.
Citadel made some really specific paints in their 80s and early 90s lineup that they never carried over to the later 90s. And
that's right.
Marine dark blue was one of them, which basically it's Prussian blue. Bilious green was one of them. They tried to replace it with Scorpion green, and it just was not the same. Scorpion green was like too greeny neon instead of yellow.
Yeah.
And like Spear Staff brown was never replaced. There was like their purple wash from their 80s colors just wasn't the same in the 90s colors. And I mean, we're talking paints from like 30 years ago. So I don't think anybody's going to know what the hell we're talking about. The cool thing about Gobo Girl, when she was talking about paints, she's just rattling off all the old Citadel colors. And I'm like, I know exactly every single color you're talking about right now. This is awesome. And I told her, I was like, when they start rattling off like modern Citadel colors, I'm like, I have no idea what color that is. It's a red. It's a red, right? It's red.
Well, you can't pronounce half of them. That's the other thing, isn't it? Like they're just unpronounceables.
Well,
I went into
go ahead.
I went to have a look at some the other day because the art store, funnily enough, stocks them now. They've got like a little Games Workshop Citadel paints rack now, and because I know what contrast is, and sometimes I'll pick up a bottle because it's sometimes handy to use for certain things. And then they've got this other thing, and it's called Lamian or something like
Media.
that. And I thought, what is it like? And there's some other things, and I don't know what they are.
Yeah.
If they just wrote down the bottom, well, this is a flow agent, or this is like a varnish or whatever.
Yeah.
That'll make complete sense. But they just don't write anything, so you just have to be in the know to know what these things are. Or go to Google or something like that. I think it's really strange, but yeah. I mean, a lot of people swear by Citadel paints, and I know they do some good stuff, but I'm totally over the whole flip top bottle thing.
Their new pots are just terrible, and they know it. They don't care. They made these pots specifically because they own the patent, copyright, whatever, trademark to the design of the bottle. They design it themselves. They produce them in house. Nobody else has these bottles. So they specifically wanted their bottle design to be their own. So that way, when you went somewhere and you saw those paints, they were Games Workshop Citadel paints. That was the whole reason they designed those. And the modern flip top lids compared to, this is two Oldhammer biddies going on about stuff, but anybody who's ever used the 80s and 90s paints will flat out tell you this is their current bottles or their current pots are the worst designs because you can have 80s and 90s paints still that have the lids airtight and they still work.
Yep, that's it, mate. I've got some right behind me. I've still got one of the first generation Epic paint set.
Oh yeah,
all the paints are perfect.
I think there's one or two colors in there that they never sold independently. It was either that or the Space Marine set. I know the Space Marine set, they never sold Salamander Black or Salamander Green. And I think there's one color in the Space Marine set they never sold independently.
There's one particular green in there, but I can't remember what it's called now, Imperial Strike Green or something like that.
Yeah.
But, it was a brilliant color. And they just never, like I said, I don't think they ever sold that independently either. And but that's testament to their paints and the pots. They're still brilliant now after all these years, after 30 years. They're still good.
Well, they're complaining that it just dawned on me. I thought about this last time I mentioned these paints. The bottles they had in the 2000s with the screw top lid, and then they converted to the flip top lid, the plastic ones with the clear plastic. That was their design too, and it was actually a superior design to the pots they have now. But I think the pots they have now are smaller than those pots were.
Right.
So I don't.
They make good model holders anyway, like miniature holders. You could have those pots just to put your miniature handle.
I don't use model holders, but I've seen lots of people use they buy those old pots specifically for sticking blue tack on and putting their model on.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
I'm guessing maybe it's just the circumference of the circle and the height of the pot. I don't know, but I could see how it would be comfortable because it would fit perfectly right here in your hand.
That's right. Exactly.
So,
exactly, mate. Yeah.
You mentioned that you use Vallejo. Are you buying it online or are you actually getting it out of Japan?
Yeah, because Japan has a wonderful company called Volks. Volks, and
that's a wheel brand.
Yeah. I think there's a few different brands of Volks out there. I saw a Volk restaurant the other day. I don't know if that's the same company. Could be, but they basically are the distributor for all of Asia for Vallejo, so they carry absolutely everything.
Oh, that's cool.
That they make. So, and they have an online store, so I just buy everything online, mate, which is great. Very, very thankful for that because otherwise it would be pretty tricky getting stuff sent from overseas.
Yeah, I was curious on how you were getting that.
So, yeah.
It's kind of interesting. I wish, I know Vallejo was around in the 90s, but there was finding anywhere in Vegas that carried it, even hot craft stores was, I don't ever recall seeing them there. Even my painting bestie, he worked at a Michael's. And they didn't carry Vallejo back then, but it would have been interesting to get into Vallejo much earlier than I did in 24 because they produce a lot of really, really neat colors and they're really easy to work with, especially for those of us who grew up with the old Citadel colors because they're similar in their chemistry or their makeup, but they have way better coverage.
Yeah, way better coverage. Yeah, the game color range is just hands down the best.
Yeah,
paint range out there, I think, anyway. And the model color, I love the model color, but I tend to love the older, the pre-generation to this new one. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened there, but something happened with the company. They got bought in by some kind of investment company or something like that, mm-hmm. and they rebranded everything. They changed all the labels. They've discontinued a lot of paints, which is really a real shame because things like this. Thanks to a good mate of mine in the UK, he grabbed me this one. This is the opaque model color range, or game color range, sorry. They don't make this anymore. And these are the best paints they ever made. These are just brilliant. So whatever happened there, I don't know why they did it or who decided it, but obviously upper management decided, okay, we need to, cull off a whole heap of paints out of our range and make it all, sort of very... centric to just two brands, model color, game color, and air color, whatever. But I think, I think the pre-generation to this was the best range ever of paints. You found every single hue, every single color.
Yeah.
You can imagine was in that. They had the Panzer Aces range for bolt action flames of war. You had the Mecha range, which I don't know if it was just for Japan, but they had Mecha paints as well. I don't know if they have that in the States as well.
No idea on that one.
I've never tried those, but they're just for just doing mecha robots and stuff like that. So just incredible company what they do, and I love their paintbrushes too because I'm a big convert to their Pro Modeler series of paintbrushes. So I tend to go Vallejo pretty hard, mate.
I've got a handful of their model colors left. And there's one in particular. Hang on, it is color called Desert Yellow, and I mix it with the AK equivalent of snakebite leather to highlight my leather on my belt some Space Marines up with, and it's such a great color. It's almost like Spear Staff Brown from the 80s. But it's a great color. It's pigmented like crazy. It's really neat. I've replaced most of my Vallejo stuff. I've only got I think about 10 or 15 paints of theirs left. I gave most of it to my painting bestie because he's really big on Vallejo. But I just found I've replaced most of those colors with things I've found that work better for me now. Since discovering AK, I've become an AK convert.
Right. Okay. I've heard a lot of good things about AK. I should try them because I did see one of the hobby stores here in Japan, when I last visited Tokyo, they had some AK paints there, and I should have grabbed one now because I heard the black and white are really good.
2 pieces of advice: use lots of water, and they dry fast.
Oh, dry fast. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll give them a shot, mate. I'll give them a shot. I'll grab a couple of pots next time and have a go at them. But yeah, we are in a time where there's an inexhaustible amount of paint companies.
Oh, it's great.
There.
I love it.
It's incredible. Yeah.
There's no god tier paint. Every paint has its pros and cons, but the neat thing is, like, you don't have to suffer through learning 1 or 2 paint brands now. You can find a paint brand, 4 different paint brands for different colors that work properly for the way that you operate. Like, you don't like the behavior of one, you can go find the same color in another paint brand, see if that behaves better for you. And then, yeah, it's great having the diversity, the selection that we have now. You know, we're definitely in a different time of painting than we were 20, 30 years ago. It's so cool.
Yeah. Well, you've got the Army Painter brand, which is an American company, isn't it? Army Painter?
No, they're actually the parent company is in the Netherlands, I think.
Oh, really?
We have Army Painter US chunk of the company branch. And I had the next episode coming out. This is going to be like we're talking about it here, but this is going to be months behind. So this is going to come out in like probably February. So the episode will be out. But the latest episode I have coming out is I had the guy who runs Army Painter US, Adam. He came on the show, so I talked to him in the episode that comes out this coming Tuesday. And by the way, just to show how behind or how delayed this is, it is currently August 28th of recording this.
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah.
So I talked to Adam like 2 months ago, but like when this episode of You and I comes out is like February or March.
Right.
So just so people don't get confused.
Yeah, no, that's because I thought, because they've got obviously a big following now, and a lot of people swear by what they do. Mm-hmm. So you've got a bit of brand loyalty, you've got a bit of experimentation, jumping between brands and testing out what you think's the best. Like I said, TT Combat was kind of a surprise because I heard good things from like Whiskey and Wizards and Lorna, that's Gobbergo, talking about them. So when one of the guys approached me about reviewing one of their MDF pre-painted kits for 40K, I said, yeah, okay. I said, well, I heard good stuff about your paints. Would you mind sending me a couple of bottles of it? And I'll have a go at it. And yeah, I've been really surprised how good it is. So it's just testament to know that, you've got a whole range. And I suppose if you're in the US and you've got like an independent store that carries everything in one place, you're in second heaven, So, but yeah, you just can't go wrong nowadays with paints. You've got so many options.
I will say, getting back into it, I was a little intimidated by all the different ranges of paints, because all I'd ever known was Citadel's line from the 80s till the 2000s. So I was like really freaked out that like trying to find something that would work for me. And Painting Bestie was like, "Oh, dude, try Vallejo. It's really similar to the paints we grew up with. You'll probably really like them." So I bought some of those, and I started buying some Citadel stuff, and found Citadel was very difficult to work with. And then got into Pro Acryl, tried a few Army Painter and War Painter paints out, and my local started, they bought up all the stock from Las Vegas Open of what AK brought, and I was like, oh yeah, I can finally get AK now. So jumped into AK. I didn't get the hang of that until a couple months after buying the paints, but that initial, just trying to find what I was used to, I was really, really scared that I wasn't going to be able to find it. And getting back to starting with Vallejo, I think was a good choice. But at least for beginners now, especially with what Citadel and Army Painter are doing, I think it's really cool that they have the triad system to where, okay, you want to paint Ultramarines. Here are the 12 paints you need to paint your entire army with.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot easier, a lot less intimidating, reading through like old White Dwarfs, like even from like the late 2000s, before they came up with the triad system, when they were still on their old colors. I could see why people had a hard time getting into the hobby, because it was like, okay, take skull, or do your base coat of like Moody Blue and Ultramarine Blue, and then do your highlight of Ultramarine Blue, and then mix it for your first highlight, mix it with Ultramarine Blue and Sky Blue, and now start mixing in Skull White and move up to that. It just, I could see how that was people don't like mixing paints, whereas now it's like, no, here's the 5 colors you need for the armor. You start with this, you use this next, you use that next, you use that next, and you dot with that last. And okay, that's easy. I don't have to mix anything.
Yep, that certainly works. I think the TT combat system's got a really good triad system as well that works nicely. That's very intuitive, and I think that's quite nice because I'm not really used to that. I sort of I just pick out paints that I like and tend to mix them a lot. But this system here has got a nice way where you don't need to do that so much. And I kind of appreciate that now, actually, having used that. Yeah, it's good. But I think Citadel's been very successful because a lot of their, when you buy miniatures, they have, of course, the Citadel paints equivalent, and they give you a list with all the paints that you need. And I think that sort of ties in really well with their product line. And I think Vallejo did the same thing with, I think, Flames of War or Bold Action or something like that. I think they did very similar things. And I think with maybe Infinity, they did the same. They had like a good partnership with companies where they would have their paint lines, their names of their paints, sort of inbred with the miniatures and that kind of thing. So it's a good way to sort of reinforce those names as well, because that's how we got to know all the Citadel names of all the paints, because everything was all, Chaos Black, Skull White, all those kind of things, Tintillating Pink. How can you forget Tintillating Pink? It's one of the most memorable ones. Goblin Green.
Color. It was so hard to use. It was so thin.
So, it's sort of just stuck in your head, so they did it really well, marketed very well.
I got to figure out I gotta go buy some like 2 types of pink for. I'm painting my gal's daughter for Christmas. I'm gonna paint her outside of the Kirby games. I'm gonna paint her up a Kirby Space Marine. So I need to go find like a darker pink and a brighter pink, so that way I have like 2 paints to actually work from for like 2-tone on the armor. But she's gonna flip her lid. She's gonna love it.
That's great, mate. That's nice.
I was like, I'm painting you something. You don't know what it is, but you're gonna flip when you see it. She's like, ooh.
Oh, that's nice. Actually, I bought my son a Kirby game yesterday. I didn't know what Kirby was. See, that's how in the dark I am about all this kind of stuff. I don't know anything about a lot of the Japanese characters or anime or games. I'm a Sony boy, mate. I played Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, Pro Evolution Soccer, all these kind of things. I didn't know any of it. I thought Kirby was a new thing, and then I realized it's been around for like years and years. Yeah, it's been around for decades. It's really funny. So he's really enjoying Kirby now, which is fun. So yeah, I think for kids, for like in terms of Japan, going back to Japan, it's like just heaven for kids.
Yeah.
Pokemon is just crazy. If Games Workshop can do something with Pokemon, they've got it set, mate. Space 40K in Pokemon universe or something like that, or vice versa.
My gal's kids try to talk to me about Pokemon, and I got no idea what they're talking about because the only Pokemon I know are like the original 150 from the first 3 games.
Right. Okay.
Red, green, and yellow. That's where my Pokemon knowledge ends. And then like the cartoon, they incorporated Togepi, and Togepi was from like the second generation of Pokemon, but that hadn't been introduced yet. And I'm just like, what are you guys even talking about? Like, how did and I've been looking at some of the modern Pokemon. I'm like, dude, they're flat out running out of ideas. It's like you're all getting just sloppy, like Pokepin, and he's just got eyes.
When's it gonna end? When's it gonna end? But
probably never.
It's just crazy.
Well, it's kind of like GW, how they've had Space Marines for over 30 years now, and I can understand like how like the Mark 6 and the Mark 7 started kind of getting stale because they couldn't do a whole lot more with them. Yeah. And then they came out with Primaris, this whole new thing for Space Marines, whole new still had some of the flavor of the originals, but was a total redesign, and now they're like 1.5 feet taller, and they're new Space Marines, and it kind of reinvigorated the whole interest in the hobby, I think, for the younger generations who are raised on things like Gears of War and Badlands and whatever popular video games are out. I don't really pay attention to much of that. But I can see how like the Primaris stuff appeals to the younger generations now. Whereas like as much as people like them, they look back at the old models and they think they look old. Whereas, those are kind of cool, but I like Primaris better. And it's like, Oh, you poor child. Oh my God, you need a hug or something. It's like your parents obviously didn't raise you right. They obviously never played this game. Anyway, I was judging in a painting competition. It was a kill team competition, and the guy who was running it wanted me to judge all the painted kill team models, like who had the best team. That was the first time I judged in 12, 15 years. It was different because I had to bring other judges in. I was like, Pepper, my girl. I was like, Pepper, you're gonna help, and oh, dude, you work here, right? Yeah, you're helping too. Just because it's like, no, if you judge, you have to have more than one judge per category. It just that you need a general consensus. But anyway, he's like the guy running. He's like, bring your minis down, and, set them up and put them on display. And people were looking at them like, oh my God, they're so small. They like them. They like how they were painted. And a lot of guys said, like, I've never seen Space Marines painted like this before. Like, they're so bright and vibrant. Yeah. And I was talking to a few of the kids. They're in their 20s, but I was talking to them, and they're like, yeah, you know what? These Oldhammer models, like the way they were designed, they're like timeless, because you look at it, it's a Space Marine, and it's really easy to look at. Whereas like modern Primaris Marines, they just have so much going on. I was like, thank you. Like, Just Goodwin knew what he was doing. That man knew how to design.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yep, the simplicity, I think. I think the Bard on YouTube does it perfectly about HeroQuest. What's great about HeroQuest, or what's the best thing about HeroQuest? If you've ever seen that video, it's got over 1 million views. It's just so well done. It's an Australian guy who does it. I'll have to send you a link. But he does it beautifully, because he's taking the models from HeroQuest, which I love. I think they're still still some of the best plastic models ever made, ever produced for a game, period. And he goes, what's this? It's a gargoyle. What's this? And he holds up like some modern GW monstrosity. You don't know what it is. And that's the point he's making. I think it's just beautiful. It's like, what's this? I don't know. What's this? This is a gargoyle. And I think he just does it so well. Because when I look at this modern GW thing, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But I look at the gargoyle. Oh well, it's clearly a gargoyle. It's clearly like a demonic demon type thing. Anyone can see that, and I think they just had it right. And I think if you make, I think
keep talking.
And also I think if you make,
go ahead.
You all right, mate?
Yeah, no, I was
I think people aren't silly. If they realize something's good, they know it's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if they think something's not good, they know it's not good. So
I was going into what you're saying, like you don't know what the hell it is. I bought this last week.
Right, okay.
And I thought there was going to be like a lot more history in it. And dude, this was only $25. I was floored. Like, I can't believe a Games Workshop product. I just bought the new Space Wolves Codex just because I wanted the Codex. I think it was like $38. This is a 336 page book that's hardbound. Yeah. $25 on Amazon. But no, I was hoping there was more history in there, and there's like 2 or 3 pages at the beginning dedicated to the history, and that's it. But going through this book, I gave it to my painting bestie to look at too, and we're just kind of like, what is half this stuff? Like I'm like, okay, I've never seen these models. I've never even heard of this. What is all this stuff? Like, are we that old, or is it just because we don't pay attention? And it's like when I got back into this, or actually it was a couple years before, like seeing what Games Workshop did when they when they brought out the Primaris, like all the new names and stuff. I'm like, what the hell is an intercessor? Like, isn't this just like a standard assault squad or a close combat squad or a a heavy weapon squad? No, all new names, but that relates back to the lawsuit thing that forced Games Workshop to name all their models to something that they could copyright.
Yep, that makes sense.
Hence why there's no longer Eldar.
Yeah, what are they called now?
Eldari? Yeah, and then Dark Eldar are Drukari. Yeah, the Dark Eldar are Drukari.
Unpronounceable for me. Thank goodness I'm not doing that stuff now, because I wouldn't know how to even start it. I mean, I can't pronounce half the names of their paints. I mean, the miniatures would be just another ball game altogether. So I'd have to have a speech coach with me to voice out all the names for everything.
So,
yeah, funny,
we're some old biddies.
Yeah.
Keep
it simple. Just keep it simple. That's what I like about it. Just keep it simple.
I had Steve K. Minis on a couple weeks ago, and like I don't know if you've seen him. He's an Oldhammer painter. He's down in Australia. He's one of the first guys I started talking to when I got back into this stuff. But him and I were just ranting about the same kind of stuff and just going off on like Oldhammer tangents. And I was like, yeah, this is what happens when two Oldhammer people get together and just start going off.
Yeah, that's it.
You kind of covered the next question in our long discussion. Curious question though, do you paint in sub-assembly?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now with some Assault Marines.
Okay.
But the arms are attached. Yeah, there's limits that I'll go to, because if I'm doing this for commission, obviously. So speed is kind of, and doing it within a reasonable amount of time is. Yeah. And then you can model the arms in a way that you can get your brush around everything anyway, so it makes it for an easier kind of assembly and that kind of stuff. But I don't do a lot of multi-part type miniatures, because a lot of my stuff is primarily fantasy that I do, and it's all one piece.
Yeah, I noticed a lot on your Instagram that you do a lot of fantasy stuff.
A lot of fantasy, yeah, which is kind of the reason why I got back into doing all of this stuff about 6 years ago was because I just got absolutely sick and tired of assembling multi-part miniatures, especially from Infinity. Infinity, the sci-fi game from Spain?
No.
Well, okay, well, if you've, with metal miniatures, with really small, delicate pieces that you got to put into, like, there might be 7 pieces or 5 pieces or whatever it might be. I just got sick and tired of doing it. My fingers were killing, after, trying to clean them all up and pin them and all that kind of thing, like tiny little arms and everything like that. I just got sick to death of it. So when I started getting back into this, it was beautiful, because I just, it was just one piece. You just clean off the mold line, stick them on the base, and away you go, and they're super solid. There's no worries about bits breaking off or what have you. Mm-hmm. And I just found the joy of painting again, with these old miniatures that I hadn't done for such a long time, because I was always looking at these modern things and thinking how cool they are. Very dynamic. Yeah. But there's a like of going back to before, like the old Bard with the gargoyle and the modern GW example and contrast, because I think the simplicity is the beauty of those miniatures. Yeah. Because you get to paint, like, you had Tim Prowl on and all that before. Those guys painted the banners, they painted all the freehand on the barding of horses. Mm-hmm. All of that was done by the painter, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about those old miniatures, because a lot of it came down to the skill of the painter, not the technology that was embossing all these things that, gave you all the details, So
I'll say the one thing actually I do like, because I was putting together a squad of old Rogue Trader Terminators. They were 3D printed. I got from somebody on Instagram. The one thing I gave the old captain, the guy with the grenade launcher power fist, I ended up giving him a banner from like a late 2000 Space Wolves pack. And I do like how the banners, when they still really did banners, how they were the whole design was in the plastic. And you didn't have to muck about with, trying to find the paper banner. Like, what do you just finding the right paper to paint it on, clear coating it, getting it, like wetting it down a little bit, sculpting it around like a paintbrush, or, getting that cool wave in it. Everything was just done in there on the banner for you, and it had the nice, the cloth was flowing and all that. I really dug that, just because, and also like how I don't know if you're really the same way with 40K, the second edition 40K backpacks with the banner poles on them. But I don't know if you're the same way as I am, but those things are like national treasures in my collection. I'm like, these things they were so hard to get back in the day. Like, the only thing they came with was the captain model. You couldn't buy an individual blister of it. You had to get a sergeant or a captain, and it came with that one backpack. And if you snapped that banner pole off, you were screwed.
That's right, yeah. And like in Tim's interview he did with Tim, which is really nice to listen to, they did, you could see that too. They had like the soldering iron, and they soldered
that was before they came out with that backpack.
Yeah. So a lot of those early Space Wolves he did had that on them, that soldered those wire back banner poles.
Oh yeah, pretty much all of them did. They didn't bring that backpack out until I want to say like maybe a year or two after second edition came out. But Tim and Mike were painting all the second edition models in that weird gray area between Rogue Trader and second edition. Like when they really started going to Goblin Green bases, but it wasn't officially second edition yet. So that's when him and Mike were doing all the, the second edition box art minis, and that's when they were doing the whole soldering thing. I had no idea they were soldering those things.
Yeah, I think they first came out with the second edition box set because the sergeant in that box set had that backpack with the banner pole. I think
he was the only one to get that, and those Mark 7 backpacks were specific to those models. They had a different peg in their back for the backpack to slide over, and the backpack itself was like actually extruded. It was actually way thicker. It was like 2.5 times as thick in that area than the standard Mark 7 backpacks were for Metal Marines.
Right.
It was. I dug a couple out when I got back. When I was looking for Oldhammer models to paint when I got back into this. I dug out a few of those backpacks and tried putting one on a Metal Marine. I was like, oh, what the? Whoa. Oh, this is for the mono pose. Okay.
Right.
But I think he was the first to get that, but that was not compatible with the metal models at the time. It was specifically for that mono pose Sarge.
Sure. Yep.
But we can. I think the next one. You'll like the next one.
Yeah.
Who influenced your painting style?
Oh well, it has to be Mike McVeigh. I mean, that was the first kind of. From the HeroQuest set, they were the first images I saw, and and it was funny because I assumed that Mike painted everything, and I think a lot of people did.
A lot of people still assume that.
Still assume that, yeah. And then of course you had Tim, and you had people like Kev White there, and
Ivan Bartlett
later. I think that was kind of pre the sort of era I was sort of.
Oh, okay.
I suppose. Maybe he was still there. I'm not sure, but you're looking at the sort of modern heavy metal team that came during the 90s, I just presume Mike painted everything because all the painting guides had his name on it, and of course it wasn't the case. Stuart Thomas did a lot of wonderful painting there at the time, and many other guys who came like Paul Muller and all that kind of thing as well. But that particular style, I think Mike set the tone and set the standard and set the bar really high.
Yeah.
In terms of that style, and everyone is and I think he's been the most influential painter ever. I can't think of anybody else who's been more influential than Mike.
Yeah.
And after all these years, I'm still trying to get just like I said, just a 10th. If I can make just a 10th of what he could do, I'd be really, really happy because it's something very, very special of what he does, and he's just very, very gifted.
I will give you an argument for that. I will say that I think the only other painter that rivals him and that has left like a dent in the painting world is Darren Latham.
Oh yeah, Darren. Yeah, Darren's a very, very good painter.
I like Darren a lot because like he does modern Hammer style in some ways, but he still does the old 90s Grimbright, but he still does old school models. Like the 24's entry from Darren was that Deathwing Terminator, the old Captain model.
Yeah,
and, he's still very big into Oldhammer, but he's got his own distinct style, and I think like he is pretty much the modern day Mike McVeigh.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love that. I love that model in particular. He painted that Deathwing Terminator because it's based on the artwork from Wayne England for one of the White Dwarf covers. Absolutely brilliant. So he's extremely talented, and a lot of those, there's so many. You look at Instagram, especially because I found there's so many painters out there, so many extraordinary talented people doing this hobby, which is always inspiring. So. And it's really hard to put your finger on someone who you think is the best. I think there's so many good quality painters out there, but just it's a matter of cult of personality as well, I think, too, nowadays. And I think people have their favorites and people have their influences out there, or influencers out there. But there's just a wealth of great quality stuff out there. You know, I found someone recently who just did banners. He's a really good painter too. Like, but he did a lot of space orcs, and I think they're mainly blood axes.
Mm-hmm.
And the banners were just incredible. I thought, wow, I've just never seen banners like this before. So dynamic, and they're sort of being cut out in different ways and styles, and there was so different and so Oldhammery.
Yeah.
And it's just out of the blue, because he's obviously not really popular on Instagram, surprisingly. And he just hasn't got that following that, you know, you don't see his posts up regularly. But it's just one of those little hidden gems I found, and I thought, wow, this guy's really talented, you know. And it's just really nice to see stuff. And I found more people on Instagram than I have on any other social media in terms of Oldhammer. So many good stuff out, so much good stuff out there.
Well, I've discussed this numerous times with different guests. Instagram, just like the format of the program, whatever you want to call it, the app, is, I mean, it's visual, so it makes sense that for what we do, it would wind up there very easily, and it's just a generalized, easy to access hub. And you know, I'm hoping, like the guy that I plugged at the beginning of the show, I hope the base layer takes off. He says, I think he's got like, I think he's up to like 500-ish members now, but it's kind of the same, but it's something new. I respect what he's doing, but I did an interview for a magazine recently, and I mentioned Instagram. I was like, when I got back into all this, like, it was really cool discovering the central hub, which is Instagram. And it's, you know, you can find, there's so many different people to find and talk to. And, you know, there's styles that I would never paint in, but, you know, I see the way they're painted. I can respect what they're doing. And, you know, I see something they like. I'm like, oh, I can try and emulate that. You know, like, I'll take little bits here and there. And I think that goes for anybody who's really into painting. You know, you see all these absolutely amazing painters. Doesn't matter if beginner to like guys that are well above our pay grade. And there's just so many neat ideas, so many different ways of approaching, just like a space marine. And
exactly. Yeah.
You know, you don't necessarily have to like what somebody's doing, but you may see something in there that's worth merit and actually be interested in trying and working into your own workflow.
Yep, absolutely, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, some really amazing people on there. Like I said, I can't reinforce that enough. I think a lot of people should go and check it out, because, like I said, there's more Oldhammer on Instagram than any other source I found. Facebook, obviously, you have independent groups that have a lot of that stuff, but I think just in terms of like just seeing miniatures painted, you'll see just more on there regularly too.
Yeah, the neat thing is you discover a painter, and, you know, usually you go to their page on Instagram, and you have their whole portfolio of work on there. So, you know, you can take a deep dive on they've been painting for 5-10 years. You take a deep dive through their profile, and, you know, there's 300, 400, 500 photos, and there's your entertainment for the next 15-20 minutes.
That's it. That's it, man.
It's interesting to me, like, you paint the Grim Bright style like I do. Yours is more fantasy, but would just refer to 90s painting as Grim Bright now. It's actually cool to see, like, the new Hammer kids, the younger generation, like, actually liking that kind of thing. 'Cause I remember when I toward the end of when I got out of painting in 2012, that Grim Bright painting was not in favor at all. People thought it was like, oh, this is stupid, it's cartoony, it's dumb, blah 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 blah. You know, you post on on Cool Mini or not, and you instantly get like insane amounts of downvotes because you weren't doing the new style, which was, you know, the more realistic style at the time. And now it's come kind of, you know, it's done a complete 180 where it's like people actually, they're like, oh my God, I remember seeing stuff like that, you know, like in my dad's White Dwarfs in the 90s or something. And, oh, it was such a cool way to paint. And God, how do you even do that? How do you get it so bright and vivid? And like, it's neat to see the younger generation now, like, seeing what us Oldhammer folks grew up with.
Yeah, that's true, because I'll never forget it. I think when I started getting back into doing this kind of stuff, and, you know, going back, and I've had to really analyze what I do too, because I think one of the good things that Darren Latham has done is this kind of glow up thing. Yeah, where you take something you painted years ago and you sort of, Yeah, I think that's a really nice term for it, because I've sort of gone back and looked at stuff I painted 6 years ago and looked at it and thought, gee, that looks awful. That doesn't look anything near the standard I would paint it at. Or I painted something in red and I used a different kind of red and it doesn't look anything like the red I use now. And
Yeah.
I like that process because I always go back and go over things. But I've had to really adjust my my vision or my perception of things, because the way you paint, Leonard, is like really strong highlights and very vivid contrasting paint jobs, which look really lovely. And I've come from a kind of I did a lot of Rackham sort of stuff, so very dark, very less saturated colors. I think it's very, very sort of very drab and very muted tones and stuff like that. And having to really go, and I did Infinity, which are kind of brighter and more science fiction type, but then having to adjust back into doing the 90s painting scheme took a while to adjust to, I think.
I can imagine.
And going back to those kind of old techniques and styles and that kind of thing. But it's been really fun because I'm still learning, I'm still learning things and unlocking things and discovering a paint and think, wow, this red is much better than the other red I had, or this yellow is much better, or simple things like mixing orange into red, which is kind of a real strange thing that just painting these blood angels. I didn't use red at all. I just used like Blood Angels orange, because it's way more vivid, and mixing yellows into that and just making a much more saturated looking yellow, orange and orangey red kind of color. So having to adjust my brain and my vision to things to match those old color schemes and things like that has been a really interesting process to do. But I like to paint in different styles, because I do paint some of the modern stuff for people, for clients sometimes, and it's nice to just adjust to that as well. Just paint something really, really, like I said, really those sort of muted, darker tones as well, and lots of blending of colors and all that kind of thing. It's really fun. But yeah. Can't remember what the question was now.
I think initially who was your inspiration, tangent. But here we go back to painting again. But that's the whole point of the show is the painter's cast.
I have a lot of. I got to interview for the podcast one of my favorite painters of all time, and
who's
that's
that?
Martin. Martin, he's French. I won't pronounce his last name because I'll completely stuff it up. But it's Grandbarbe. I think Grandbarbe. I think that's how you sort of say it in English, but it's totally different in French. But amazing painter. Like I love the Rackham painters back in the Rackham Studios. This is a French company. Are you familiar with these guys? Back in the, I think they came out at 1995.
No, back then the only thing I knew was pretty much just Games Workshop and White Dwarf.
Well, me too. I didn't even know these guys were around. They were a tiny little company, and then they started becoming more prominent in like the 2005, 2006 era, and when I started translating everything into English and all that kind of thing. But the painting was just out of this world. The sculpting was just incredible, and it just made Games Workshop look really, really bad in comparison. I think very amateurish in comparison, and I'm sure they would have looked at this stuff and thought, "Wow, these guys are like just super talented."
Yeah.
But they have a very distinctive style that it became very influential as well, with a lot of painters during that time. The non-metallic metals and all that kind of thing they did. So there are different aspects. What I'm trying to get is probably there's just different aspects of painting which I find really interesting, and I have my different influences because if you look at 90s, Mike McVeigh, Dave Sopper, these kind of guys are just very influentiul.
Speaking of Dave, he's still painting.
Yeah, Dave's still painting. Yeah, he's a bit of a legend. I think he won all the. I think he in the latest Salute painting competition. I think he came away with all the prizes, which doesn't surprise me.
Well, he redid his Nurgle tank, right?
Oh, did he?
Yeah. If you go to his profile, he actually built a new one.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Okay.
he's got like a full size Great Unclean one on the back of it. Yeah, go check out his, if you've got his Instagram, go
Okay.
check out his Instagram. He documented the whole process. It took him like a year.
Wow. Yeah, I still remember those pages at, when I was in England, looking through the White Dwarf and seeing Dave's painting on there. It just blew me away. Like the transitions that guy can do with blending is just out of this world.
Oh yeah, he's
super talented.
Yeah, he's
super
as
talented.
Marcel says, he's one of the top men.
Yeah, he is, mate. He is. He's and he does that for a living. He's been doing that for a long time, I think now. Painting commissions and stuff like that. And I would hate to think how much that would cost. He probably does it by the hour, I'd say. I'm a silly bugger doing it by the minute. He probably does it by the hour.
Yeah,
no doubt. For some very rich and influential clients, and good luck to him. But but those guys, they have a very distinctive style, and I think Dave's gone into a very naturalistic sort of style now.
Mm-hmm.
But I still love the stuff he did back in the 90s. We look through those fantasy miniature books.
Oh yeah. The
brilliant,
Nurgle tank he did in the third Fantasy Miniatures book, it's still astronomically good.
Oh yeah,
like
it's
if he
incredible.
broke that thing out and put it on on a competition table today, I'm pretty sure he'd still win.
Yep, I'd say so too. Yeah, just very, just very very talented people. So I have my influences from different styles.
Yeah.
Of painters and or painting. So there you go. I hope I answered that question, mate, for you.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
In a roundabout way.
And you're a good one to ask for the next question. How do you think old Games Workshop miniatures compare to the new ones? Like in terms of like design aesthetic and just, I don't know, overall feel and.
I mean, obviously I'm going to be a little bit biased. I prefer the older miniatures, which is going to be probably a huge surprise to many people. I think the reason why is not that to say that the modern Games Workshop miniatures are bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've made some really good miniatures. Actually, I've got one just here actually for a commission at some point. The ones I really like the most, and the sort of the recreations, you're probably not going to see this.
Oh, is that the one? That's the old Chaos guy from the cover with the chainsaw,
exactly.
the chainsword middle finger.
It's a Mark Gibbons illustration in color that they've made into
I didn't realize
miniature,
Mark did that.
Yeah, Mark did those ones. Yeah, actually, his spike's a bit bent, but these kind of things I really really like a lot because I think they've done such a great job in recreating these old beautiful illustrations into miniature.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big hit for me. That's massively good.
I didn't realize that was a plastic kit. I thought it was resin.
No, it's a plastic one, man. I just noticed some of the spikes on the top of the rack are a bit bent, which is a real shame. I hope they don't break.
Yeah.
That's another thing about plastics. They'll snap at a. You just drop them and they'll snap. But and obviously, some of the design, like I did a lot of the plug-in things for Warcry. I think Warcry, their starter set miniatures, which look really nice. I thought they were quite nice miniatures to put together. They just snap together, and they paint up really nicely. Very dynamic, very cool-looking miniatures. So I've painted quite a few of the Stormcast models for commission, did the Drakes and stuff as well. I found them really nice to paint and just something just interesting that I wouldn't paint normally. I would never buy them for myself. But you could clearly identify what these things were. I think that's another thing, that the simplicity of the armor, the simplicity of the design were nice, and that's quite cool. But I think for a lot of things, and I think I'm not the only person to complain about that, is that the amount of detail they put on the miniatures now, it's just too much.
Yeah, thank you.
Too much.
Thank you.
And the assembly, I did what they call the high elves now. I can't remember what they call them now in Age of Sigmar. But the gentleman sent me all the boxes to assemble. Oh, mate, it was just hell.
Oh,
hell on earth. I thought I'd never do this again. It was just so, because they have to fit. Each model had their own particular parts, and and I didn't know that, and I wasn't following the instructions really closely, and I realized I made a couple of mistakes, and it's really hard to go back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And it was just a nightmare. I thought, what have I got myself into? But I managed to get through all that. But then painting it was also, there's a load of detail on there. I think it's just a bit too much, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I've noticed, like, on the few modern Hammer Space Marines I've painted, just the amount that they cram into certain areas, or how tiny they've made. Actually, my biggest gripe is how tiny they've made the rivets. They're not easy to paint.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, like the rivets on like backpacks, on weapons, on armor, like they're just itty bitty, and it's like
tiny little things. Yeah, I think it'd be really for someone like you described before, the I think maybe in your other interview with Tim, I think some young guy just sort of starting out painting. I mean, for young kids like my son, you know, he looked at one of the Tyranid Carnifexes or something like that, which I'm never going to buy because it cost like 8,000 yen or something. It's way too expensive.
68 bucks.
Yeah, but for a young kid to get into painting something like that, that's pretty intimidating, you know, looking at it. So I'd much rather him start off with some old 90s monopose plastics.
Yeah. Get a feel for it.
Real simple shapes. Yeah, you got like a big surface area of armor, or big surface area of flesh, or big surface area of some kind of cloth or clothing. Much easier to approach there, and it sort of, you know, their arms are positioned in an open way as well. Yeah, you know what I mean, which makes it just much easier.
I was going to say painting.
That's how I learned.
Painting a dwarf, 90% beard.
Yeah, because that's how I learned. I learned painting through painting the plastic monopose high elves from the 4th edition fantasy set, and I just did those one after another, did all the black lining. And that's one thing when I started posting up stuff on Instagram years ago, some guy said, "Are you black lining these?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, and he thought it was really funny. He thought, "Oh man, that's so old school, you know, like no one does black lining anymore." And I looked at some of the modern GW stuff, and I thought, yeah, actually he's right. They don't do black lining anymore.
Yeah,
everything's sort of dark grey, dark brown, or things like that. You know what I mean? Very natural.
I'm still getting used to that. Like on Lombardi, it's like there's certain details where, like, I think it's mainly for the skulls. Like I'm not doing a black outline around it. I'm just using the dark brown as the outline.
Yeah.
So, but we were talking earlier, but kind of like starting to grow and evolve my painting style, keeping it grim bright, but grow it in its own way. But yeah, I don't even call it black lining. I call it panel lining. Black lining I think is too limited. It's like, oh, did you black line that? No, that's from my Space Wolves. I guess that's a term, but no, it's actually a dark blue. It's not black. So when you say my Blood Angels, yes, I black line those. That's actual black paint. But panel lining, you don't really see a ton of it anymore because it's just like color butted up against color, and I get it's more realistic, but it's I'm getting used to it.
Yeah. I think that approach though you had with the dark blue is much more easy on the eyes. I think just gives a more subtle approach to it, and I think black lining should be done in kind of moderation. You shouldn't overdo it, because if you overdo it, it just looks like it's just a cartoon cutout. You know what I mean? Like it's very, very old school. So within moderation, you can make black lining work. But of course, it's the thickness of the lines too. The thicker the line, the less sort of beautified the model looks.
Yeah.
The more thinner the line, then it separates those sections much nicer. I sort of did a Donald Trump move there, actually. Yes. Donald Trump gesture, but that sort of makes a bigger impact on the miniature too. So, I can see why younger generations of painters find it funny, because when you paint things with black lining, it's kind of you are really doing an old school paint job. Yeah, the old schools did that. The 70s war gamers, everything was black lined or dipped in black paint or black wash or whatever. You know what I mean? So
there's YouTubers I've seen that basically have a bucket of Nolan oil and then you just go boom. I'm like, what the no?
Yeah, I remember seeing that way back in the 90s too. They had some kind of product that you did very similar, like a dipping, is dipped. They just dip them. Yeah. So I can't imagine doing that, but yeah, for some people that's the way they got their miniatures on the table.
No, the way I'm painting my current when I do just my normal like on the shelf Blood Angels with the black lining, I'm just kind of replicating the old Rogue Trader style, but like Lamarde's, he doesn't have black separating his panels. It's just a dark red that I use. So, but I mean he's a competition level model, so this is a different story. But I was talking one of my last guests. He's his first name's Magnus. I forgot what his last name was. Oh, Magnus Mateague. He's multi-time Golden Demon and Nova winner, and I asked him for critique after the show was over, and he's like, you're on the right path. You just, like you're only 2 years back into this, and I can see, you're very much your style, but at the same time, he's like, my biggest suggestion to you right now was just like learn on cleaning up the thickness of your lines. And I was like, one thing you got to remember though. The models that you're pointing out right now, those are all 28 millimeter. They're not the modern size ones.
Yeah.
Doing this on a modern size Primaris is a lot easier because them boys are big.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, exactly, mate.
So he's like, he's like, actually, and this is zoom way in. So I was like, if you saw these in person, the lining's a lot smaller. You're seeing this like 10 times its actual size. But no, I took that into heart, like with Lamarde's, and going forward, I'm trying to pay a lot more attention to like the thickness and consistency of my panel lining. And it was actually a very good piece of information. I was like, you're absolutely right.
I was going to say that's a credit to you too, Lennon, because you take really close-up pictures of your models, which I don't do of mine because I'm worried about all the mistakes I'll find. So I'm always in admiration of people who do that because it does, in one way it's good for you because then you can really analyze your paint jobs and see. Because before I got, I'm using sort of these magnifying lenses and stuff like that. Before I did that, I would highly recommend it because even if your vision is pretty good, you're really magnifying and looking really close to everything you do and really scrutinizing every paint lick you put on the model. So if they're just a great little aid. Or I've got these, I use these for painting, which are they're just prescribed to magnify, and you can buy them from dollar shops.
Reading
glasses. The reading glasses. So people use those as well, and anything that sort of it helps you with enhancing what you're looking at. Is just an added help. So I always admire people who can take really close up photos of their miniatures, and they still look really nice when they do that, because I can do that with some of my models, and I just know that I'll be really overly judgmental and everything, because I'd say, okay, well, that's not blended correctly. That's that's a line out of place, or I've missed this part.
I do the same thing.
Things like that. Because it's a good habit to get into, because that way you can take a test photo, you can check, okay, is this good to now publish, or do I need to go over certain things? And it's probably a really good habit to get into, because I tend to be a bit sneaky. I said, just set it back a little bit back, and people can zoom in if they wanted to catch up real close, or have a bunch of models around, because but then I don't really rate myself so highly in terms of Golden Demon level style painting. I'm much more of I paint to play. I paint in mass, I paint in ranks, I paint and I do mass production painting. I don't do stuff for competition level painting. I used to do those, but I used to compete in Gold Demon and everything like that. But I've always been a painter to game. I've always loved the gaming. That's been a big part of why I do this. It's a big social thing for me. Getting together and roll some dice and play the games, because that's something that people, I think, often remember about the 90s, how cool and how wacky the games were. And the lore and everything that came with it, and the miniatures were just a visual representation of all of that.
I'm thankful, like we're talking about like old games. There was I picked up, I don't game, but there's two games, well, technically three, but there's two games that I played growing up, and one was Space Hulk. Played the hell out of it, still love it because it's so easy to play. There's Games Workshop doesn't make anything like it, and period anymore. And Blood Bowl. I really loved Blood Bowl because I loved how silly Blood Bowl was. It was And like Blood Bowl to me isn't nearly as rule intensive as 40K. To this day, I still have most of the Blood Bowl, most, not all, most of the rules still memorized. I could probably sit down and play a game and get fair way through it. I'll only look at the book a few times. But from what I've been told about modern Blood Bowl, is it's still the same, pretty much the same rule set as it was in the 90s. They've modified a few things. They've cleaned a few things up. But if you knew how to play it in the 90s, you could still play it today with very little trouble, which to me is really cool. It's like playing StarCraft 1 in the 90s and then playing StarCraft 2 in the 2010s. It's still the same game. They just fixed a few things. But fortunately with Blood Bowl, you know, the silliness is still there. One of my favorite games is Space Hulk. It was down at the Dark Tower, the old place I used to go to in the late 2000s, and guy wanted to play Space Hulk. He had his set with him. I had some of my minis with me, so I let him. I actually had all my painted Termies with me, so I let him use all my Terminators, and I played Gene Stealers. And I remember like the game went on for about 30 or 45 minutes. And it was one of the larger board games, so it was like 2 full squads of Terminators. The board was really long, so it took a while to make your way across the board. I think there was 2 objectives, and the game ended with 1 Terminator left. It was a Flamer Terminator behind a door, and I had about 10 to 12 Gene Stealers just lined up outside the door. But everybody, we were hooping and hollering, and like everybody kind of stopped what they were doing, and we had a couple beers going, and just everybody, the whole store got into this one game, and there was like, when somebody would lose in close combat, or like I'd lose like three or 4 Gene Stealers, everybody just kind of thing, and that's the kind of thing with Blood Bowl, with how silly the rule set is. I could see happening is, if you're, I think the rule was like right stuff. Like, let's say you're a troll star player, picks up a Gobo, gives him a ball, and just chucks him downfield. If your Gobo actually survives, that's like an kind of moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he lands 3 spots away from the end zone, and he's got 6 spots of movement. It's like, that's a touchdown.
Yep. Yeah, you're going to love rolling D6s, mate, and hopefully not rolling 1s.
Even if he does hit the ground, gets injured, and rolls into the end zone, you still got a touchdown.
You've actually picked 2 really good quality games, actually, I think, from out of that time, which are timeless, and they're still around today. So that's pretty much testament to
GW needs to get off its butt and release a new Space Hulk.
Yes. Yeah,
because this generation does not know what Space Hulk is. I've talked to multiple young Hammer people, and they're like, "Oh, isn't that just boarding or landing? Isn't that just boarding party?" I'm like, "No." I was like,
wasn't there a hint of it returning though? I
think it was that right? They released some limited edition Gene Stealer model recently that killed a Terminator and was holding his like helmet or something, and people were taking that as like a hint that GW's possibly doing Space Hulk. I'm all for it as long as they don't screw with the rule set, because the way the rule set was written for 2nd edition, well, 3rd edition was basically 1st edition, but 1st, 2nd, and 3rd edition, you can't really mess with it. It's such a great rule set. It's so easy to pick up and play. You play 1 game of it and you know all of the rules. They've never made another board game like that, period.
Actually, I've got a mate of mine, Max, here in Japan, who I sort of got in contact with over the last 12 months or so, or a bit more than actually, I think. But he's got all the 1st edition Space Hulk rules and sets. I've never played it, and he's currently now painting up all the hybrid Gene Stealers now. Yeah. So I'm really looking. I think next time I get to play with him at his place, I'll probably film that one for the channel.
Nice.
So that'll be. Yeah, it'd be good because I'm really interested. Again, I think it's a great time in that part of GW's history because they were experimenting with different rules and had lots of a great range and that supported that particular edition of Space Hulk really well with campaign books and
they really expanded 1st edition.
Yeah, they really went to town on that one because everything was done through White Dwarf magazine, of course, as well.
Well, I think they ended up.
So I'm really interested.
I think they kind of like went the route of like Advanced Space Crusade, and they brought in. I know they brought in Space Marines. I know they brought in Orcs. I think they brought in Eldar. I think they brought in Chaos. 1st edition had such a huge expanded rule set, and then 2nd edition, they didn't really do much with it. I know they published rules for they did some Space Wolf specific missions, and they published some rules for Space Wolves. I think like the Terminator captain got +2 to close combat, and he got a parry. And then the Chain Fist got a +1 in close combat. And I think they published rules for the autocannon Terminators.
Yeah, they did too.
And that was like the most I saw of second edition. And third edition, I don't know if they did anything with, because I just bought that one issue of White Dwarf, and that was it. And plus, I bought the game. It's still sitting brand new in its box in my closet.
Oh, okay. It's worth a few $100s then.
But yeah, first edition was definitely they just went completely nuts with the rule sets and expansions, which like their box games back in the before second edition really came out. Those box games, they really tried to support extra rules for Advanced Space Crusade, for Space Hulk, for Tyranid Attack. I don't know what they did. I know there were some fantasy based box games. I don't know if they did any expansions for those, but like Mighty Empires, Man of War sitting right behind you. They really went the extra mile to keep those games alive and to draw players even into the simple games.
Yep. It was an interesting time, and I think in terms of games development, they really brought out some real good quality board games and tabletop games during that time that still have like I said, like a really strong following now. And I got to thank Chris too, because he introduced me to second edition Space Hulk, and I really enjoyed it because I think the style of the tiles were really nice and bright. That sort of 90s era kind of color, and the tokens and everything. Yeah, it's. I never got to experience it when it came out, but I'm really glad to experience it now through our Discord. So that's been a lot of fun. And third edition I played as well, and I bought that and I painted the whole set.
Third edition, they brought back the timer, didn't they?
I think so.
Okay.
I think they did. Yeah. I think second edition had a timer too. Nope. I'm not sure. They didn't have a timer.
No,
okay.
That was the biggest complaint people had, was like they got that.
Right.
Getting rid of the timer for the Space Marines really took a lot of the tension off the Space Marines turn.
Right.
So I think they slightly changed rules about action points too. I don't know the difference. Like my painting bestie, he dropped a load of his old stuff off at my house. I've actually got first edition Space Hulk, Deathwing, and Genestealer in boxes sitting in my storage room that I need to go through. We were actually trying to piece back together Tyranid Attack so we could play it properly.
Oh, cool.
So he had a bunch, like his Genestealer and Deathwing came with a bunch of extra minis of the same things that were in the box. So he just brought everything over, and he's like, if you want to read the rules, whatever, if you want to, paint everything up, get it ready for Tyranid Attack, we can put together. I'm probably I'm going way off on a tangent. I think for my copy of Tyranid Attack, which I still have, I think I've got everything. He gave me his Advanced Space Crusade. Advanced Space Crusade became Tyranid Attack. And all the tiles and markers and stuff for Advanced Space Crusade were reused for Tyranid Attack, so I need to collect all of what's missing. And I think inside the actual box, I'm going to build like a couple of foam layers where I can put all the miniatures inside the box.
That'd be a good idea.
For easy storage.
Yep, that's a nice idea, mate.
Yeah.
I did that with my HeroQuest set, actually.
Nice.
I got a foam tray and stuck it in because all the miniatures are in there, so it's all one self-contained thing. I did that with the third edition Space Hulk set because I think Battle Foam released foam trays for that specifically, which is a really good idea. I still have a great love of board games, and the GW board games especially, because, like I said, they expanded it so much with all the different White Dwarf articles that you can make a game that was in a box, but with much more possibilities. Later as well. And I think Advanced HeroQuest had that, and I still long to play the Advanced Space Crusade and Space Crusade games. I haven't played those yet, and Tyranid Attack. I think there's some hidden gems in there as well.
Ed, you ever watch Minisodes?
Oh, I love minisodes.
Yeah,
Ed is an absolute champion.
What got me back and wanting to play Tyranid Attack was his battle report for when he played Tyranid Attack. I thought it was great.
Yep. Yeah, he did a really, really good job on those, and I hope he does some more of those with other box games. I think they'll be really, really good, especially Advanced Space Crusade.
Yeah,
which I think he has that. I think he's got that actually.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So
it uses pretty much everything from Tyranid. Well, Tyranid Attack uses pretty much everything from it. So, You could probably just get the rules set for Advanced Space Crusade, and whatever you have in the Tyranid attack box, you could play Advanced Space Crusade with it.
Yep, we can certainly do that.
So,
I'll be looking forward to that. Yeah,
just to round out the questions, and we'll jump into your Instagram feed. What advice would you give painters just starting out to help them avoid the same pitfalls you experienced?
Well, I think that for nowadays, you've got a wealth of great tutorials online on YouTube, especially
stuff we never had.
So stuff we never had, and I think that would be a great starting point. Finding how to get into miniature painting, some kind of channel that would allow you to do sort of a step-by-step from the basics into doing some basic layering and highlighting and that kind of thing, blending, learning all those sort of techniques, but at a gradual pace, and finding someone out there on YouTube who sort of covers that. So I think that would be a really good way of doing it. And getting some good brushes. I think I think the brushes I used back in the day were terrible. So it took a long time to find some good sable brushes. So get yourself some good brushes. Learn how to take care of your brushes as well, as it's really important. To keep them alive longer. And get some good paints. And I would recommend getting a painting like a wet palette as well. I think just having those sort of foundational pieces there in place, the equipment, and a nice clean area to paint on, and putting on some good tunes in the background, and having some kind of painting mentor in the background on YouTube to give you some kind of realistic goals, I think, initially, because I think a lot of YouTube with painting tutorials is kind of like at the top end. And you really need someone who's got just at the base end, and experiment with contrast paints. I would just get that easy gratification of just like painting something in 20 minutes and thinking, wow, that looks really good. Shout out to Dread Paints, a guy who's I'm going to interview today, actually, who painted his entire Skaven army, which looks fantastic, with contrast paints. So it is achievable to get really nice results with modern paint systems like that. So find a formula that suits you, and just get into it gradually. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I think I did that initially, hence the stripping back and melting my HeroQuest miniatures. Just do the basics first. Get those base coats on there first. Get everything neat, and concentrate on just neatness and eye-hand coordination. I think is probably the recommendations I would have, and enjoy it most importantly.
That's a big part of it. You're just having fun with it. Yep,
that's it. Have fun with it. Yeah.
There's I posted RTB15 Sergeant this morning that I painted, and I had a couple people ask me like, "Oh, how do you do your panel lining like that? How do you do this? How do you do that?" I'm like, here's the tutorial video, but the biggest thing is just practice. And another thing is try your best to emulate what you see. You might not get it the first time, or the 5th time, or the 10th time, or the 20th time, but you're going to learn a whole lot of cool stuff in between. And that practice automatically goes into that. It's like kind of built into that. So you were talking about old bad brushes. I still love Citadel's brushes.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure they've still got some merit.
I use the hell out of their small layer brush, which is the old detail brush.
Right.
I think I've got 6 or 7 of those sitting brand new in a box, because I go through them every couple of months.
Now you just got to find a brush that you're comfortable with, because I know some people like using nylon brushes, all the synthetic stuff. Some people swear by the Artist Opus brushes, which are sort of the top end. And I've gone through a whole heap of brushes, and I found, and again, it's just finding the ones that you're real comfortable with. Yeah. And some people like using armor painted brushes. Some people like using the AK interactive brushes. It just depends on what's good for you, and accessibility as well.
Yeah, there's a Monument Hobby.
How easy it is to get it.
There's a Monument Hobby synthetic brush that I use. It's in the you can see it in the Space Wolves tutorial video, but it's just a great brush. I mean, for like if you're doing like mid-tone shading like I do it's got somewhat longer bristles on it. It absorbs a lot of paint. So if you're, doing a mid-tone highlight, over large areas, you can load it up and it keeps a perfect tip, and you can just flick it straight down the model, and you've got tons of paint flow, or just tons of paint stored in the bulb, where you don't have to reload it like every 3 swipes of the brush.
That's right.
So,
that's right. And also, Lennon, too, another good point as well about, if someone's going to start off painting, Duncan Rhodes is a really fantastic instructor, and really nice. I think he presents it so well, and it's really nice to easy listen to, and also posturing. Now, I've got really bad posture, and this is how I sit back and paint like this. If you look at Duncan Rhodes, he does it sort of in a way that is not going to ruin your back. So, finding a comfortable space, having a proper chair to sit in, and a table that's an appropriate height, and getting good posture is a good idea. Don't look like a hobgoblin like I have after 30 years.
I liken Duncan Rhodes to Bob Ross. Duncan Rhodes is the
really
Bob Ross of miniature painting.
He found what he was good at. That's what he's good at. So
I haven't met him yet, but everybody who's met him and talked to him and like knows him just says like he is just like the nicest dude on the planet, and like he's so patient, he's just so supportive, and I'm like okay, he is the Bob Ross of painting. He's just there's a little mistake there. It's a happy little mistake. We'll just go ahead and highlight over that.
No, he actually messaged me because I was trying to get him on the podcast too, actually, at some point. But he said, I've been listening to because we did a lot of deep dives into like the 4th edition army books. Mm-hmm. So he's been enjoying that, painting up some Middlehammer, because he's getting into a Middlehammer vibe.
Oh, okay.
So he's a really genuine type of person. You know what I mean? Like from what I've heard too of people who have met him, he's just a real down-to-earth type of guy. So, I'm just glad he's been so successful with what he's done.
Yeah.
And I'd love to try his paints as well.
They're not bad. They really like water.
Right. Okay.
The dark red that I'm using for panel separations on my Lamardes, I have 2 dark reds from Duncan, from Tooth and Coats, and I tend to use the darkest one. I like that one, but I had a bunch of his paints. I ended up giving them to my painting bestie because I just wasn't using them, but they really, really like water. Like they don't separate. Right. It's really cool. Like okay, you can, cool. They're a lot like AK. You can thin them down to the consistency of water, and they still have pigment in them.
That's good. I think the Vallejo ones do that as well, and TT Combat do that as well. So there's something in the scientific makeup of those paints that allow them to do that. So that's good. Okay, that's a good recommendation. I'll have to check them out one day, mate, for sure.
But let's just because it's coming up to the 2-hour mark, let's jump into your Instagram feed really quick. There was a couple of models I wanted to ask you about and talk about in here. Interact. There we go. Okay, let me move my windows around a little bit. Okay. Yeah, you're definitely in a fantasy battle.
Yeah.
I love these. I love your your star player goblins.
Yes, they're gorgeous models. This is another commission because most of the stuff here featured on my Instagram are commissions.
While I'm here,
if I haven't stated that there, but that's for my good mate David over in the States.
Oh, okay.
So he's enjoying Blood Bowl. He's a big Blood Bowl player, so I painted a lot of Blood Bowl teams for him now so far. But I really enjoy doing these to the box or card art. For
your skin tone edition. On this is like spot on to the old box art.
Yeah, they turned out really well. I've sort of been experimenting because I liked, Whiskey and Wizard's skin tones for his Orc and Goblins. Mm-hmm. That kind of interests me. And I'm sort of looking at changing my recipe and experimenting more with those as well. But yeah, I'm glad those turned out so well for David because, James. I apologize. I've been calling him David. He's got a new name, new alias. But James has been enjoying those as well, so that's been good.
Do you remember their names? Like I know the one on the left is Fungus the Loon.
Fungus the Loon, you've got Blackwort. Is it Nobler Blackwort? I think it's the middle one.
Okay. And then wasn't it like Boomer Dribblesnot?
I think you might be right. The last one, I can't remember what the guy's name is or the goblin's name is now. But something like that.
I had a fungus loon. I think it got stolen. Like, I can't find him anywhere. I ended up making my own. Like, I took some of the old Night Goblin Fanatics with the chain balls and just took some green stuff and made spikes on the balls.
Ah, right. That's a good idea. Yeah, it's a good way of doing it.
So like for people watching, in case they're curious, do you remember your formula for the skin on the gobos in this?
So it would have been my usual approach and process of doing like goblin skin tones is like using Dark Angel green as a base and then layering up using just adding yellow basically to it and just layering over many different layers and then adding a bit of green ink, Nostalgia 88 ink, because that's got the right sort of color and hue to it, and using some Nostalgia 94 green glaze as well in places, which really give that sort of vibrant tone to the greens.
Because I would have guessed you base coated with Dark Angel green and then like coated the entire outside of the recesses, coated the entire skin with woodland green, and then highlighted up with like I don't know, like yellow or like bleach bone maybe.
And this is where the TT Combat Triad paints is kind of coming in. I'm sort of experimenting with those now, using a much more luminous green and doing it that way, sort of switching it out. And I've got another, I think, Angel Green from Vallejo Game Color. It's sort of like my mid-tone. So sort of, and using like the glazes as well. So I'm sort of trying to mix it up a little bit and try to get some variations in it because, I'm really liking how Ben's doing his skin tone on his orcs. So I kind of want to try to emulate that sort of real punchiness to the green skin tones. I think he does a good job on that.
Yeah, I should have started at the bottom. I keep forgetting my my browser in this. In
my wife has got our stuff in there as well. I need to get rid of that, but my wife has sort of tagged me in some posts. Sorry, so there's not going to be all the miniatures on here.
These are gorgeous.
Oh yeah, that's for my good mate Zane. I'm actually painting up his assault squad at the moment.
Oh, okay.
To take them back to Australia. So that's good. I'm doing the last part of his Blood Angel army now, but that's been a great joy to paint all those.
Yeah, I'm curious. What do you use for your reds on your Blood Angels like this?
Okay, so I'm actually using is it Fiery Orange? Now this is one of the paints we talked about for the Epic paint set from 1991 or something like that, which is still alive and good. So I've used that for the main bulk of the army, but now I'm using I think it's called Blood Orange from TT Combat. Let me just grab it for you. Yeah, Blood Orange.
Oh, okay.
Which is a perfect equivalent to that Blood Angel Orange there. And I would have used some red glaze from Nostalgia 94 to just sort of give it much more of a ready punch to it. Yeah. And then highlight it up using like Bad Moon Yellow or something like that, equivalent to it to get the lining in.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like how he had you do the dreadnought on the right is actually the old Dark Angels dreadnought.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yep.
That's what his loadout was in the box set. But I didn't he have a different sarcophagus?
I think so, because I think it's the Ultramarine one he's got on there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't really remember the Ultramarine one. But I mean, Ultramarines, why do you memorize those?
Yeah.
I'm just pissed off like 50% of the people that watch the show. All the new gamer kids are like, Ultramarines are awesome. No, they're the gateway drug.
Yeah, exactly. The poster boys.
Yeah. And then you find a chapter that's way gooder, like Space Wolves or Blood Angels or even Mentor Legion, but most people don't know what Mentor Legion is.
Yeah.
Where do you go? You and your Chaos, man. Those are great. Those are really
this is for
good.
Ben. Yeah, Ben stuff. I really enjoy doing these, and it's a real shame that we never got to do a battle report with these, unfortunately. I hope to do that when I go to Sydney next month and meet up with Ben. Hopefully he's playing this army, actually, and we can do a battle report there at the Sustained Fire event. But yeah, really enjoyed doing those. I've actually got another commission to do again for another Chaos Space Marine army for a guy in the States soon, which will be done in Night Lord's color scheme.
Did you actually, you converted the heads on those?
He supplied all the heads. He had some I believe they're resin heads. I think for these guys, yeah.
Oh, that's right. The old second, the new second edition Terminators, the heads were separate.
Yes, they were.
When they
I think they were.
them.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, they were. So I don't know where he got the heads from. I presume it's like a third party producer.
I remember when they brought out that sorcerer in the middle. I thought his headpiece is absolutely ridiculous. It was just like huge.
Yeah.
Like
very much of
his helmet is a damn weapon.
Yeah. Exactly. That's where he sourced the power to generate his spells, maybe.
He runs out of ammo on his plasma pistol. He just runs straight forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were. I kept skipping him. That old bad boy.
Yeah.
Oh, that old Chaos Dreadnought. That thing was so interesting.
Now, this is a resin miniature that's produced by, I think, Hybrid Miniatures.
Okay.
I think it's the guy who makes these. Now, he's actually like resculpted. It's not a scan, so this has been resculpted.
Yeah, he looks a little chunkier than the original.
He's much bigger.
Yeah,
he's a lot bigger. Going by the footprint on that, I think it's a 40mm base. I've got him on there, 50mm base. But yeah, they're really nice. I've done two now. One for this one, and one for his Slanesh army.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, cool. Very good casts. Very, very reminiscent of the original Perry Dreadnought for Chaos, which I still think is the better looking one. I didn't particularly like the second edition metal ones they released.
Oh,
to be honest, I love the Road Trader.
I don't like
the
big, dumb, obnoxiously long wooden arm they did for the second edition one.
Yeah, I just found that the more organic shapes to the original ones just made them look more chaotic.
Yeah.
And
well, there was something kind of special about the the Rogue Trader era Chaos Marines. Their face was their whole torso.
Oh, I love all those. The Renegade line of miniatures, especially for Tzeentch, the ones you're talking about, were just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And unfortunately, that aesthetic sort of just left the second edition range, and it became very homogenous with all the Marines just being Marines with a bit of extra little detail and all that kind of stuff. You had to do all the conversions yourself.
The new Slanesh Marines that they brought out, new Slanesh stuff they recently dropped was I thought they looked really cool. Like it was like, oh wow, these were really nice, especially compared to what replaced them. But I guess it's just us being old men now. Those just
I agree. I think a lot of the new stuff they're doing for Chaos looks much more in line of what the old Rogue Trader stuff had. The designs, like if you look at a lot of Adrian Smith artwork from that era, I think a lot of the modern sculpts really sort of they identify with that more so than the what came later in the 90s.
Well, even though I like the old Rogue Trader stuff because like it was such. They're supposed to be Marines, and you kind of see how they were Marines, but like they're so twisted and different to what happened to them before they went into the warp. That to me it was like I don't know. It was just a kind of different kind of chaos where it was just so different and weird. Like it's like, wow, these guys are Space Marines. Now they must have gone through hell to end up looking like this.
Yeah, well, I think the mutation charts in the Rogue Trader Lost in the Dam books and everything played a big part in that, and I think that all went away when it came to second edition. All that was lost, and it was kind of like just very standard kind of Marine bodies with just a bit of just a bit of detail on the spikes and stuff. A lot of spikes, skulls and spikes.
The evil
kind of replaced
Marines.
All that. Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
And there was a couple other down toward the bottom I wanted to ask you about. Oh, your killer can. This thing was just gorgeous.
Yeah, that's from my mate Marcus from Dice Hammer in Germany. Really good guy. So he gave me we did a trade deal. So he traded painting for some Space Orcs, and he very generously gave me a ton of those, which is awesome. And I really love painting this because I've been dreaming about getting one of these.
Yeah.
I still don't have one, but it's just a great little Kev Adams, piece of history with with a wonderful looking designer model, pretty crudely designed. Like if you painted one, you'll see it. It's a model of its time.
Oh, I remember.
But it's still cool. I mean, I love the original paint scheme on this thing in the 40k rulebook and everything.
I like how it came with two heads. It came with the top of the can closed, and then the other head was the top of the can was open, and there's a little gobo in there, and he's like got wires all over him.
Which is weird because in the original Rogue Trader lore, the Gretchen was sort of implanted in these things, but then second edition you got an orc, which is a shame. You got an orc driving it instead of a Gretchen.
Well, I think even in second edition, it still came with that second head of the little gobo stuck in there.
Yeah, but it was an orc though. They put an orc in as a driver.
Oh,
an orc because it was called an orc dreadnought, and
Yeah.
it had like an orc driver piloting it. But in the Rogue Trader version, this era, there was the mech boys basically infused a poor Gretchen, plugged him in. Basically, he would never come out of that thing. And
you little go get in there. I
Yeah.
don't want to get in there.
Too bad, mate. Yeah, that's it. It's your role. You're in.
Oh, and you and your Eldar.
These are different.
You nailed them.
Yeah. Now these were really nice to do because I love Jez Goodwin's Eldar.
Yeah.
And Nick said, I want you to paint them like the epic Eldar Warlock stand. So the epic Warlock stand, if you're not familiar with it, they all had all different coloured robes. So that was really nice to do. So each one was individual. And
Those things are
so
still absolutely timeless.
yeah, they're beautiful models. I absolutely love them. And so it was a really nice. It was a real pleasurable commission to do for Nick.
I think still to this day, my favorite one is the one that's dead center, just with a sword.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, mine too. That's one of my favorites.
I think I've got the one on the far left. I think he's still painted. I need to strip him and repaint him. I painted him when I was a teenager.
Yep, sounds like a glow up one for that one, mate. Yep, easy.
So this is a new feature of the show, and just to kind of end the segment, what is your favorite model that you've painted on here, and I want you to talk about them.
Okay, well, it isn't for a commission; it's for my personal collection, and that's the Amethyst Mounted Wizard for my Empire army. So if you scroll down,
okay,
I'll show you which one it is, mate. So it's not too far away, I don't think. Let's see. He'll come nice and purple with a scythe, so he should stick out quite nicely here. Wouldn't be too far away from here, I don't think. Where is he? I say that now, but maybe he's quite a long one down here. I've painted quite a lot in the meantime. Here he is.
Oh, there we go.
That's my favorite model in my collection so far. I think I really wanted to capture the original paint job, and I had to go and acquire the right purple for it. So I think I went out and bought Vallejo Warlock purple from the Game Color range to get that really nice, vivid looking purple for it. And then I had, I think at that stage, the Nostalgia 94 Blood Red, I think it just came off perfectly. Everything about that model, everything just executed perfectly for me.
Nice.
So I can proudly say that I photographed this really nice and close. I can't see anything wrong with it personally. So that means it's just testament that I spent a lot of time on it to make it look absolutely perfect. Did all the freehand and everything, tried to match it exactly like the studio job, and paint on the skull and everything like that on the other side, because I can't see what's on the other side of that miniature, so I just put a skull on there. But yeah, everything just went perfectly for it, and I was really, really happy with the result at the end.
There's one thing I noticed that I really dig about it is I like how you start out with blood red at the bottom, and then as the horse's cover goes up, it gets more and more purple.
That's it.
But you continue the purple up into the rider, and that's when he gets into the actual solid purple. It's such a subtle gradient and subtle change. It looks so cool.
Yeah, like I said, it just everything just went everything just went perfectly for me. So
Yeah.
I was really, really happy because I'm not used to doing purple red gradients. That's something you very rarely do. But for whatever reason, maybe I think I probably used some purple glaze and red glaze on this one as well. But the transition just worked out perfectly. It's like bang, done, and like all the tiny little freehand details on the end of the skirt on the yellow. I love it when a paint job just does that, and you just go bang, 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 and it just done it perfect the first time. You don't have to go back over and try to fix things up, and that's just how this one painted. Is painted, just beautifully. And
do you still have it?
Absolutely,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
absolutely. I'll never part with this model. I'm in the process now of painting up an entire 4th edition Perry Empire army. So
Nice.
and I want to replicate it because it's one of the, if not the greatest painted army they've ever did, I think, in the studio. So really enjoying this now at the moment, doing those.
So we will go ahead and get to the end of the podcast. As I told you off camera, the last part of the podcast is part 1 is there any shout outs you'd like to give?
Let's see. Well, I like to shout out, my podcast. If you want to listen to people and my Splatter Natter, of course. The podcast is called The Crown of Command. It's been around for about 5 years now. We celebrated the 5th year this year of the podcast. So you can listen to people like A.D. Wood and Gary Morley, and recently we had Jervis Johnson and Andy Chambers on. So we talk a lot about game design and reflecting on the 90s and that period in time of the hobby. So I've talked to Dave Perry, talked to Tim Proud, like yourself there too, Lennon, in your interview. Talked a lot of the old guard in terms of the studio and painting and all that kind of thing. So give the podcast a shout out first and foremost. I think that'd be maybe interest of people who are just painting and want to listen to something as they paint.
And that's on your
Splatter Natter.
That's on your YouTube, correct?
No, that's independent. That's basically on a podcast feed, mate. So just go to any podcast feed of your choice, like iTunes or Spotify.
Oh, okay.
Chuck in the Crown of Command and you'll find it. No problem.
And you've also got you've also got your YouTube channel, The Crown of Command,
and a YouTube channel. Yeah, YouTube channel is basically just for doing battle reports and the gaming aspects of thing and the hobby side of things and painting and stuff. And of course, the Splatter Natter is like you've experienced, is basically just a group of guys getting together, having getting some painting done and having a bit of a chat at the same time. So again, a very relaxed format, and just so those are probably the main shout outs. And to our Discord community, which have just reached a milestone, 1,000 people, 1,000 members, which I hope you're a part of there, Lennon. If you're not, you should be a part of it, mate. Share your painted Discord miniatures. Okay. So
I've got my 4 main social media outlets. I tried using Discord, and I'm just like, I can't keep up with this. This is too much.
No, that I totally understand it, mate. I've really limited myself too. I don't do TikTok. I don't do Blue Sky. I don't do X or Twitter. I don't do all these things because, again, it's just how many hours in the day have you got? Yeah. And the last thing I want to do is be preoccupied with social media. I want to be preoccupied with doing my hobby and my work. Like yourself, I'm sure. But it's good to see that community has grown, and we've got a great bunch of people there of like-minded hobbyists. So if that's of interest to your viewership and listenership, then they're more than welcome to come in and say hello and share their hobby. That's what it's there for. Share your miniatures. Find people who are like-minded that maybe are in your community, in your area, wherever you live, and want to get some game. Play some Space Hulk with Lennon. Maybe someone's in Las Vegas who wants to smack down some 1st edition Space Hulk with you, mate, or some Blood Bowl, or come and sit with you and paint with you for a bit, or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's what it's all about. It's
I ain't doing anything until after the first weekend of October.
Okay.
I got LV connected. I've got Las Vegas Open coming up. I got to finish that Lamar race. I got to. I was trying to have them done this week, trying to stay on schedule, but it's going to bleed into next week. And I'm trying to do 6 old Rogue Trader Terminators for a squad entry, because I found out you can do two entries per category now. So I'm like, oh crap, I got to paint more stuff. So
okay.
I converted I got a bunch of 3D printed Rogue Trader Terminators from a buddy of mine on Instagram. So I put a bunch of Space Wolf bits on it and stuff. So I'm trying to get those 6 done by the first weekend of October. I'm not painting them to like super high quality. I'm painting them to like what I put in my display case, like the stuff that I've been posting for Space Wolves all summer. So they're simpler models, so I might be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
So I'm like outside of my gal, I'm like, no, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just painting. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, good idea, mate. Good idea. So, yeah, seal yourself away.
So if you don't pay attention to your girl, you get beat up.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I know the feeling. Mind you, I think my wife's happy that I'm sort of, cornered off in this side of the house and keeping to myself. Maybe that's probably a good idea. Keep the geek room isolated and safe from anybody
go downstairs
else.
and say hi. She's like, Yamate.
Yeah, it could be infectious. But shout out to the great people like yourself and others out there who are doing stuff like this, who are creating some entertainment through the week for people to listen to and watch. So whoever you support, make sure you go and support them, watch their videos, listen to interviews. And like I said, I think Instagram is a wonderful place to get a lot of that resources for imagery, for painting and inspiration for that kind of thing as well.
And the final piece of the show is the mystery question. The mystery question for you was left by Gobbo Girl, and I told her that you are my next guest, so she was really excited that she got to ask this. And you've got to leave a mystery question for the next guest. It doesn't have to be about painting. It can be about anything you want it to, as long as it's appropriate. But she asks, what is something about you your followers don't know about?
Oh, geez. Wow. Okay. That's an interesting question, Lorna. Thank you very much for putting me on the spot here. I don't know. I've been pretty open about everything, really. I think a lot of people who know me over the years probably know everything about me. I'm just trying to think. What could it be?
Well, a common one, people like I had 2 or 3 mystery questions in a row, and they were all food questions. Yeah. So I mean, like maybe
food question.
Something I don't know about is what is your favorite? What kind of food you did?
This might be an interesting one because I live in Japan now. Obviously, if people who live in Japan, common associations with Japan are eating sushi, like raw fish, watching anime. I don't do any of these things. So I'm kind of out of the norm. Usually people who live here are kind of massive enthusiasts about anime and manga and all this kind of stuff. It really doesn't interest me, and especially eating sashimi or any kind of raw fish. I don't eat any of that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of a difficult gaijin.
What about ramen
in Japan? Ramen, I don't really like. I'm not a big ramen eater either. I like KFC, mate. I'm an Aussie. Give me beer and fried chicken. I'm okay. I'm right. So you know what I mean. So yeah.
Oh, it's
my
too bad
wife always says I'm difficult.
It's too bad you don't have canes over there.
Yeah.
You ever had canes?
So yeah. No, I don't think I've had canes as in the
CANES, Canes, the chicken place here in the United States.
No, I haven't tried that, mate. No. Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'll look forward to that. I do hope to make it to the States at some point. Maybe that's another thing people don't know about me. I've never been to the United States.
Wow.
So one day I hope to go to the US and to meet many people that I've known through the podcast and through our community at Crown and Command, and play some games. I love to go to the Adepticon at some stage and check out a proper show. It'd be pretty cool to see, and Golden Demon and all that, and meet a lot of guys there. I do hope to go to Bring Out Your Lead next year. That's kind of the plan.
I'd like to go to Boyle.
You should go to Boyle, mate. I think you'd really enjoy it, and you get to see Tim, in real life. Shake his hand and see the real miniatures there and the cabinets and stuff like that. I think that'd be the highlight for me, is to go there and see all those old miniatures painted so beautifully.
Just to kind of close it out, what would be what's the secret question you want to leave for somebody else?
Oh, geez. Okay. Do I have to give it now? I don't know. It's really hard.
It can be something simple, like what's your favorite shoe brand?
Okay, what is your favorite paint you cannot live? Like, because obviously going to be a painter you're going to bring, I assume.
Yeah.
What's the paint that you just cannot live without? Like, there's certain paints that you just can't do without, because it's your ultimate color, the thing that you love painting with the most. And when it goes away, it gets discontinued, your heart's broken. You're always trying to find that next equivalent to it. So I think that might be a good one for your next guest.
You're asking somebody who fills some pretty big shoes that question. I'll tell you who it is when we're done filming.
Okay, that'd be good. I'll look interested. I'll be really interested to see that, mate, because I've been catching up on your great interviews, and I'm now watching the Tim Prowl one at the moment.
Okay.
So I've been really enjoying that. So it's been good, mate. So thank you very much again, Len, for having me on, mate. I really feel honoured to be on here, and
thank you for coming.
I'm really happy to see. Yeah, no, I'm really happy to see your channel growing and people watching your videos. That's really good to see. And,
I was honored that you invited me on the Splatter Natter. So this was like just kind of me returning the favor. I was really looking forward to chat. It was really weird for me being on Splatter Natter because the tables were turned. I'm used to being the interviewer, so I'm not used to being interviewed.
Yeah,
and
we'll have to have you back on again one day.
Oh, I'd love to come back on. Like I bought a laptop so I can. I'm going to start streaming my painting. But I can actually, I have my desk set up now, so I can just flip the laptop open and actually hook up another camera and film straight down. So I don't have to drag the camera that's on my monitor over to my desk plus my SMB. So
that's right. I remember last time we had you on, you were sort of sitting at one table and painting at the other.
Yeah, I got the laptop I think earlier this week. So. There was a whole story behind that. I'll tell you off camera, but I am going to go ahead and shut the show down now. But thank you very much, Josh, for coming on. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed hearing your side of the story. It was like I was really anticipating having you on to hear your stories because we're kind of the same generation. So it's always neat to hear, 30, 40 years worth of history come out of somebody. But for anybody who's stuck around this long, please go check out Josh's social medias. He's Crown of Command on Instagram, Crown of Command on everything. He does a lot of really cool stuff. But in the meantime, I'm going to go to the ending screen. Here's a few more random videos. I have no idea what will be up by the time this video comes out because this will probably be out in February or March. But thank you guys for watching or listening, and I'll talk to you in the next one.